It's a more unique steak sauce, and their barbecue sauce, which is newer, is head and shoulders above. I try so many barbecue sauces that I was so glad when I tasted Andrea's and said, okay, that's my favorite. Very, very easy to endorse. So get a bottle of any of their famous sauces, especially their steak sauce, here in the middle of grilling season. You're going to love it grilling outside right now. This is a great season for it. Go to Andreas.com, or of course you can go to any area grocery store, Deerbergs, Schnucks, Andreas.com.
Is your old garage door a real clunker? Overhead Door Company of St. Louis is paying cash for your clunkers now. They'll haul away your old garage door and give you instant credit towards the new insulated door. $200 for the first garage door and $100 for each additional door. Cash in your old opener, too. It's cash for clunkers now at Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. Convenient, free in-home estimates. Schedule online at overheaddoorsstlouis.com or call 314-781-5200.
If you have a problem with the IRS, believe me, it's not going away on its own. The IRS never gives up. They have endless resources, so they control the game. Well, your tax problems can end. I'm attorney Lance Drury with the Drury Law Firm, a local tax resolution firm with an A-plus rating from the Better Business Bureau. I've handled thousands of IRS cases over the last 15 years. So when you hire me, you won't be speaking long distance or sending money to some TV pitchman that's riddled with consumer complaints. Your first visit is completely free and confidential, and I'll tell you on the spot exactly how much it will cost. So call me, Lance Drury, at 314-260-6120. That's 314-260-6120. Or go to Lance, D-R-U-R-Y, law.com. If you have IRS issues, you need a local attorney, you need me, Lance Drury.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Don't let a cold, sinus infection, or allergies ruin your day. Breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier with Navage. Visit Navage.com, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, or a store near you.
More good news for Frederick Roofing, voted best roofing company by the St. Louis Post-Dispatch.
For a hole in your roof or a whole new roof, Frederick Roofing.
314-645-2000.
The Annie Fry Show YouTube live chat poll of the day is sponsored by Ruler Foods. Low prices, no coupons. Ruler Foods.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
You know, we have a lot of the campaign rhetoric speaking of what people say they would do. You've seen the Trump campaign talking about mass deportations. We tested that in a general way in principle. Would you support a new government program that would deport all people living in the U.S. illegally? And that finds majority favor. That finds 6 and 10. It's strongest among folks who are MAGA. It's strongest among Trump supporters, but also from some Democrats as well. And I think that that speaks to the general idea, not just that people see the border as a crisis, but also where we are in the campaign, where a lot of very dramatic or new proposals out there are finding favor here.
Whoa, that's a big deal. Right now, we find out that 62% of voters support a national program to deport all illegal aliens. When Donald Trump was president the first time, they had a massively, a massive compromise that almost made it through. The Senate ended up not voting in favor of it. That included DACA, that included a lot of different things, but it included the wall. And that was something that we couldn't get past in Congress. Now 62% of voters, this is from CBS's Anthony Salvanto. CBS reporting 62% of voters support a national program to deport all illegal aliens. Well, count me on the 62% of that. Now, if there's a circumstance or a situation where exceptions are to be made, we have made the exception the rule, and we have to get back to defining what the rule is and backing it up in this country if we want to continue to have a sovereign nation. Welcome back to the Annie Fry Show. Happy Monday to you. It's Monday, June 10th, and for those of you who follow the show with some regularity, today is my youngest's birthday. So now my youngest is 3 and no longer 2. And as I was leaving to come to work today, the kids were eating their confetti sprinkle pancakes that my husband made for them. And my 8-year-old says, "You have to go to work on Molly's birthday?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's Monday." And she goes, "Well, that just doesn't seem right." And Molly, who is now 3 and every bit of the 2s, like she's the most 2-year-old child that we had ever had. And now she's 3. So I don't know what kind of territory we're venturing into now. But after my 8-year-old says, "You have to go to work on Molly's birthday, it doesn't seem right," Molly, walk with me here. Molly tilts her head to the side and then points her forehead down to the ground a little bit and looks up at me in her eyes. And she goes, "But if you leave, I'm going to be sad and I'm going to cry." And I go, "Molly, you are not." And then she tilts her head to the other side and she's like, "No, I'm not." She was completely fine with it. Just trying to smooth one over on me. And I was like, I thought about calling my boss and be like, it wouldn't be right for me to be here on Molly's birthday. But instead, I decided to shout out to St. Louis. Happy birthday. Happy 3rd birthday to Molly. So if you're watching this at home while Dad's making you guys clean the house, it's like a birthday present for me.
That doesn't seem right.
Well, when you clean the house with a 3-year-old there and you've got 4 kids, the first 3 clean, and then this now 3-year-old comes behind them and just continues to make messes. So really, activity is for days for everybody involved. I'm interested in watching this news cycle right now because we kind of dove into this a little bit. I think it was Friday. We were talking about the kind of lack of public interest in the Hunter Biden trial compared to the Donald Trump trial. And I think that the interest in the Hunter Biden trial is less than it should be. And the interest in the Donald Trump trial was significantly more than it should be. Not the interest, but the ridiculousness of the trial made it so salacious and so dramatic that it just grabbed the attention of everybody. But if you have a preset notion on Donald Trump, the man or the president, that kind of predicated your thought process on whether or not he should be found guilty or innocent, it will be an afterthought after this appeals process goes through, whether or not Donald Trump is the president when it's concluded or he loses the election in November. The appeal to all of this is going to be a fraction of the interest level of the actual initial trial that took place within the last month. People are not going to be on the edge of their seats waiting to find out if he's exonerated, if the appeal goes through, or if the appeal is tossed out. There will not be the interest in that. Just like the whole, imagine a situation where a president is accused of completely railroading the American election system in partnership with Russia so they can subvert the election process and guarantee that he would be the president. And then America is led to believe that over and over and over again. The person who lost won't shut her mouth about why she lost. It's because she's unlikable. She's unpalatable. She's crotchety. People don't like her. They didn't want to vote for her. People did want to vote against her. Imagine selling a lie to the American people that the person who's running the United States of America because he was sent there by the voters actually stole it in partnership with Russia. And people believe it and they believe it and they believe it. And then at the end, it's like, oh, nope, that didn't happen. You get to the point where you have to scratch your head and say, what is truth? What is fabrication? What is propaganda? And I think propaganda is a word that should probably be used a little bit more these days. That we should be looking at what actions our government officials, the people who are in charge right now, and the access they have to bureaucracy that exists in the shadows of Washington, D.C., or the federal government, and they're able to affect outcomes. They're able to affect change. And I don't know, I can't point to, yes, this is where bureaucracy stepped in and this is where it isn't, but I saw what the system was willing to do to deceive the American people that Donald Trump didn't win the first election. I'm not talking about 2020. I'm talking about 2016, when they whined and complained for 4 years, suggesting that he stole the election. And then, of course, the coin flips in 2020, and Donald Trump says a lot of the same things that Hillary Clinton was saying for 4 years, and he's going to be in court for that with Jack Smith. I just think that the American people are very sick and tired of not knowing what to believe. Forget about who to believe. There's no entity out there that anybody can trust wholeheartedly. Yes, I'd like to say that the Annie Fry Show is that. Yes, I'd like to say that 97.1 FM Talk is that. I speak freely. Nobody tells me what to say or what not to say. It's never happened. It never will happen. I would quit before it would happen. But the idea that I know something, that I have an inner access to the shadow function of the United States government, I can't possibly put out to you today that I know certain things to be true or not to be true any more than anybody on any television network or any other radio show can. Now, I could sit here and get all worked up in my feels to the point where it sounds like I'm going to go into cardiac arrest over the fact that Donald Trump is being treated unfairly. I don't know that that is the daily medication that you need or that I need in order to affect an outcome in November that remedies the situation. There is so much emotion that gets injected into all of these stories, into these court cases, into the daily churn, the 24-hour news cycle. And my opinion is that the more angry that, the capital T they can make you, or potentially in my position here as a radio show host, if you tune in and you're like, oh, Annie was really on one today, and I'm in here raging and hollering and trying to really, really give it to the other side. Okay, but then what do I do tomorrow? And what do I do the next day? And what do I do the next day? Because, we are marching closer and closer to an election that is 148 days away. And I don't have 148 days of rage inside of me to impart upon you. And if I were you and I was on here raging for 148 days, I would turn this show off. That's not a functional way to go through life, just with an emotional response. And so often when I see this steady march of anger and rage towards the system, I don't often see it paired with actions and solutions that could solve the problem. Because for a long time now, the emotion has been what has driven an outcome. And when emotion is what drives the outcome, I think the left wins 9 out of 10 times. Brad, I can see a lot of anger and rage in right-wing media, and it could be print, it could be radio broadcasting, it could be television broadcasting. But if it doesn't finish with action and solution that is out of some sort of hope, that's the thing. Where is the hope? If it's just anger and rage, because at the end, if the end of the story, if the end of the emotion and the rage is that we put a point on the scoreboard for us and the other team loses, that is not enough for me to take away from joy that I could be experiencing with the people in my life, like a 3-year-old birthday girl at home. I can't take that opportunity away from her so that I could put a point on the board. And then what do you do? What do you do the next day?
Yeah, you do definitely. You have to come up with solutions. For me, I listen and I have every confidence that Republican politicians will have solutions to these problems. But I'm a nerd. I'm the kind of person that's in it every day, paying attention to it every day, and I kind of have a general idea of what Republican policies are versus what Democrat policies are. We can look at what the Democrat policies are and see what has been the outcome. But the average person isn't me. They're not the nerd. They're not in it every day. So they want to know, what are you going to do differently? And this is where coming in and selling your case and making your case to the American public comes in. And then whenever you present them with a plan, because the biggest thing that drives people to anger and craziness is uncertainty. If we don't know what's going to happen, people are going to lose their minds. And when you give them the plan, you say, hey, this is what we're going to do. These are the plans that we have. These are the things that we're going to do. Those people have a certainty in that, okay, we've got something to work toward. At least we know what we can be doing to work toward this, fixing the situation. But if you're in a bad situation and you don't know what to do and you don't have any direction or anything like that, that's when panic sets in.
Nerds aren't going to decide the election.
No.
Whenever you see the polls and it's like 33%, Joe Biden has a 33% approval rating. That 33%, they're going to show up and they're going to vote for Joe Biden. Set him aside. Donald Trump could, what's the phrase, go out and shoot somebody in the streets and he'd still get a portion of the people who would vote for him.
Mm-hmm.
Those people are going to show up and vote for Donald Trump. I think that the people in the middle are starting to part ways with one another and maybe not jump into the 33% for Joe Biden or the whatever percent it is for Donald Trump. It's probably similar. But they're starting to scooch to the right or to the left. And that's the YouTube poll for today. And that's my question for you. Which will have a greater impact on voter decision in November? Is it all of these legal challenges that Donald Trump is facing, that Hunter Biden is facing, the tax implications? I would think, okay, in this case with Hunter Biden, we've discovered that the FBI, my understanding is the FBI has testified that the Hunter Biden laptop is Hunter Biden's laptop. It is a verified possession of Hunter Biden. That's new information, shockingly, in 2024. Wasn't something that we heard to be true from the powers that be going right before the 2020 election. But now we have in trial that it is Hunter Biden's laptop. In September, Hunter Biden is going to be in court once again for tax evasion. And there are going to be things that are going to be revealed in that court case that I think could potentially tie back to Joe Biden. My interest in Hunter Biden has everything to do with the business that he was willing to conduct in conjunction with the office that his father held at the time. That's my interest. Will it have a bigger impact on the actual job performance of President Trump when he were the president and Joe Biden when he is the president? Which is going to impact voter decision in November more? The legal challenges that we're seeing or the job performance that we're witnessing? And we've got two great guests to talk about this because Andy McCarthy is going to be on with us as soon as we come back. Fox News contributor, former chief assistant U.S. attorney, and contributing editor of the National Review. Andy McCarthy will be with us when we come back to talk about what is going on with Hunter Biden's trial. And the first question I'm going to ask him, I think it was Trey Gowdy was saying, this document, this government form thing, it's not really something that people rush to court with. And he was kind of wondering, is it because because Hunter Biden's last name is Biden that they decided to prosecute this? I'll ask Andy McCarthy that when we come back, among a little bit of a comparison between what Donald Trump has experienced in court and what the Biden family is experiencing in court. That's the legal challenges portion of it. And Steve Moore is going to be with us when we come back in the 1 o'clock hour, and we're going to talk about job performance. And I'm going to ask him, compare notes. You've been there for both. You advised Donald Trump. Let's talk about the economy under these two individuals while Americans decide who they're going to vote for in November. We need you to vote. Go to the YouTube live chat poll and let us know which will have a greater impact on voter decision in November. Andy McCarthy on The Annie Fry Show when we come back.
This is The Annie Fry Show. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
Well, I don't miss much if it happens on a dance hall floor. Mercy, look what just walked through that door.
Let's talk about Jen Teske and listing your home on the Illinois side of the river. Jen Teske is an expert. She is experienced. She knows how to navigate the market, and she is a phone call or text message away. 618-541-1010, 618-541-1010. online at jenteskehomes.com, T-E-S-K-E, jenteskehomes.com. She has immense dedication to getting the job done and getting it done right. That means being open and honest with you, but in a way that just when you see Jen Teske is calling you, you're excited because you love to talk to her. She's incredible. She's an incredible person inside and out, and she is the best when it comes to helping you list your home for sale. The market is incredibly hot right now for people who are looking to sell. So if you've been thinking about it, open up that line of conversation with Jen Teske and her team, their RE/MAX Alliance, and consider getting your home listed. You'll be able to ask her questions. If you're just considering, she's not going to high pressure you into putting it on the market, of course, if you're not ready to do that, but she'll help guide you to make it so that you are going to have the best experience when you do decide to list it, even if it's 12 months from now. 618-541-1010 online at jenteskehomes.com.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6986. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6986. That's 800-575-6986. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Hi, I'm Bob Kershaw with Retirement Advisory Group. Are you worried about market volatility in this election year? Are you concerned your money won't last you through retirement?
Hi, I'm Tammy Kershaw, and as a family-owned business, we are committed to protecting your retirement, whether you're nearing retirement or already retired. We have a lot of folks that aren't aware of all the new investment choices that are available, which give you growth and protection from losses at the same time. Are you aware of all the fees that you are currently paying? We can show you how to avoid those fees. So come in now for your free retirement review and get a second opinion on your retirement plan. And just for coming in, you'll get a copy of our latest edition book, Your Key to a Worry-Free Retirement. Let us show you how to retire with confidence.
We are proud to say we haven't lost a penny of our clients' money in 38 years, and we won't lose a penny of yours either. Let our family help your family. Call us now at 314-993-9494 or go online to retirementkey.com. That's retirementkey.com.
You're listening to the Annie Fry Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Get in your comfort zone with double carrier cool cash rebates up to $4,200 and 0% financing up to 72 months on a new HVAC system. For details and a free estimate, visit aircomfortservice.com.
97.1 FM Talk. You're here because you clearly have a refined palate. St. Louis's home for conservative talk. This is 97.1 FM Talk. This is the Annie Fry Show. Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Fry Show.
Hunter Biden's laptop, that physical laptop, was actually held up in court. It was not plugged in. Exhibits are not being taken from the laptop directly, but it was our first time to actually see that laptop that's been in evidence for several years. Also, an FBI agent who joined the case last year said that she heard parts of Hunter Biden's audiobook to help prove that he was addicted to drugs around the time that he bought a gun.
Well, that's Fox News Channel's David Spunt talking about how Hunter Biden's laptop was displayed in court. You know, that one that we have a whole list of people that we're supposed to trust. Over 50 people saying Yeah, this is Russian disinformation. It's like the old go-to when you try to explain something away. That, among many other developments that we have learned as, what did Hunter Biden spend in court? 1 week or something like that?
Yeah, roughly.
This is not the Donald Trump treatment. It's just not quite the interest, but very important nonetheless. Let's get our next guest on. Andy McCarthy joins us once again, contributing editor at National Review, Fox News contributor and former chief assistant U.S. attorney. Andy, welcome back to the show. Always a pleasure to have you here.
Andy, great to be with you.
Thank you. The first question that I want to ask you, I want to get to the laptop conversation here in a second, but I think it was Trey Gowdy on Fox I heard several times suggest that the fraudulent government form that Hunter Biden filled out saying that he was not using drugs or addicted to drugs, that this isn't exactly a charge that is heavily pursued in our justice system. And I was wondering, Andy, in your expertise, do you feel like Hunter Biden is being put in court for this because his last name is Biden, maybe even unfairly so?
Yeah, I don't agree with Trey on that, and I'm not telling you anything I haven't told him. I think there's a category of cases in the gun field that we refer to in federal prosecution as lie and try. Those are cases where somebody who is an ineligible person under the statute, say a narcotics addict, a prior felon, there are various people who are under protective orders, that kind of stuff. There are about 8 or 9 categories in federal law of people who are ineligible. Sometimes what happens is, and this is not infrequent, they will lie on the form, but the lie is discovered before they get the gun. So even though they've technically violated the statute, those cases often don't get prosecuted because the person never gets the gun. Now, I must tell you, I think those people should get prosecuted, and I also think that it's precious to hear Democrats complain about it when was it 2021 or 2022, Joe Biden bragged about signing a law that increased the penalty for doing that to 15 years from 10 years. So they obviously thought it was pretty significant. But my point here is the category of lie and try is not Hunter's case. Hunter not only lied, he got the gun, and then he handled it recklessly in a manner, by the way, Annie, which is exactly why the law prohibits narcotics addicts from getting guns. It was handled irresponsibly. It was lost. They tried to discard it. I guess Haley Biden tried to discard it next to a school, which could have been catastrophic. And I understand that the bag that it was in had like cocaine residue in it. So on those facts where the person gets the gun and handles it recklessly, that case gets prosecuted 10 times out of 10. It's not a lie and try case. It's a lie and succeed case where the guy then goes on to handle the gun in a very irresponsible way.
Man, that's a really good explanation of the difference here. And, Andy, listening to you explain from start to finish why this law exists and why we need to make sure that, there's a gun control, there's a big, theoretical conversation that we could have about gun policy and so on and so forth. But it's interesting to me to listen to, here's why the law exists. Here's why it's bad if someone breaks it. Here is what could happen if somebody, what's the worst thing that could happen in this scenario? And you've kind of laid it out for us. I compare that to Donald Trump's case and the Alvin Bragg trial. And we were kind of joking on Friday, like if Donald Trump, a good thing that they found him guilty so he couldn't do this to the people again. I don't know that Donald Trump would know how to recommit the crime that he was found guilty of 34 times.
Yeah.
And the comparison is pretty wild. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it's a great point. And it's like two different sides of the world, right? On the one hand, you have the Hunter Biden case, which involves laws that are unquestionably laws, that everybody knows what's in the content of the laws, and where the penalties in the laws have been increased because Democrats keep telling us we need these gun laws to restrict firearms rights. And I would add on that count, not only is the possession statute that Hunter's being prosecuted under, not only was that penalty increased under President Biden, when Biden was running the Senate Judiciary Committee, they increased to 10 years from 5 years the penalty for lying on the federal form, because Senator Biden said that federal form was very important to the regime of firearms regulation that they were implementing. So, we all know what these laws say. The conduct that's prescribed is very clear, and we have a pattern of increasing the potential penalties because Democrats again and again tell us how serious these things are. Contrast that with Trump, where even in New York, where the case took place, if you asked any 20 people in Manhattan on the streets what it was that Trump was convicted of, they couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
Because it's such a vaporous crime. It was basically bespoke. It was manufactured for the occasion, and ironically, it was manufactured by a notoriously progressive New York prosecutor whose default position with respect to serious crime is either to plead it down from felonies to misdemeanors or not to prosecute it at all. And here we have a situation where instead they created a crime for Trump. They basically wouldn't put in the indictment exactly what it was that they were doing. And I think that was because they knew that Bragg had no authority to prosecute federal law, which is what he was trying to do with not only prosecute, but reinterpret the federal campaign laws. So they sort of nestled that charge under a couple of other things that they didn't mention in the indictment. And then they took, in essence, what they said was the business records crime, which they said Trump committed, is ordinarily a misdemeanor in New York, which means the statute of limitations would have run in 2019. But they said he committed it in order to commit a second crime. That second crime that finally Bragg settled on was another misdemeanor, a conspiracy to violate New York election law by influencing a campaign through unlawful means. Now, we could spend a long time on how ridiculous that statute is, but my shorthand point right now is just that it's another misdemeanor, which also should have been time barred by 2019. But under Bragg's novel theory, if you smush together the two misdemeanors, you somehow get a felony that he can multiply by 34, meaning that Trump would be facing up to 136 years of imprisonment, and he gets the benefit of a 6-year statute of limitations. So there's a lot of hocus pocus involved.
We're speaking with Andy McCarthy. I mean, broadly speaking, Andy, have you ever seen anything like this before?
I don't think I'm singular in that regard, Andy. I don't think anybody's seen anything like this before. And I really don't think I'm the only person saying this. And, look, some people have tried to say, look, that's their bread and butter at the Manhattan District Attorney's Office. They prosecute, white-collar business records crime all the time.
That's what Bragg said. Yeah.
Yeah, well, but what I would say about that is, to my knowledge, every other case that they've used the statute in, they always put in the indictment and charge the other crime that the person was supposedly trying to conceal. And in no case anywhere in the United States, not just in New York, but anywhere in the United States, has a state prosecutor asserted the right to enforce federal campaign finance law. So the claim that they do this kind of thing all the time is it's simply not true. It doesn't bear up in reality.
We're speaking with Andy McCarthy here, and I'm in no way, shape, or form any type of legal expert, and I'm so grateful to be connected with folks like you who are at the tops of that department. But I kind of want to ask you this question. You can answer it however you like. I mean, I know how all of this makes me feel, but I'm just listening to experts tell me their opinions and, putting them together and coming up with my own. You understand law. You've practiced law at a very, very high level. How does the fact that this was, A, allowed to occur in the beginning, and B, concluding in a 34-count conviction, how does that make you feel as somebody who has been a student and a practitioner of American law?
Yeah, well, it's a great question, and it's one I've talked to at length with people who do what I do or did for a living, including people who came up as I did, kind of grew up in the Justice Department and in federal prosecutions. And a lot of those people, Annie, I have to tell you, they are not Trump fans in the slightest. This isn't like at all about Trump. But I think in our conversations, there's been a kind of they know not what they do tenor to these discussions, because it's really not about Trump. It's about the notion that if prosecutors can do this, and the thought that, Trump is some kind of sui generis figure and they'll only ever do this to Trump, and all legal precedents that get derived by this kind of stuff are going to be exclusively confined to Trump, such that they won't be applied to anyone else and we don't have to worry about all this stuff, is nonsense.
Yeah.
The problem here is if they could do this to Trump, they can do it to anyone. And this is not like playing with some abstruse set of regulations or some boutique body of law. This is our entire criminal justice system. And to have a free society and a prosperous society, you have to have the rule of law. To have the rule of law in a way that's enduring, you have to have people believe that everybody gets a fair shake in the legal system and that everybody gets treated reasonably equally. I mean, obviously, equal justice under the law is our constitutional ideal, and we fall short of it from time to time, a lot more often today than we used to. But what keeps the society peaceful and stops people from taking the law into their own hands, such that we would have the law of the jungle, is that people accept that our rule of law, our court system, our prosecutorial systems, overseen by independent judges, that's all legitimate, and that the outcomes in that system are legitimate. And if we start to think that it's rigged, then people aren't going to have confidence in it anymore. It's not going to be legitimate, and the society starts to break down.
Yeah. I mean, the impacts are incredible, and I think that's the way a lot of folks are feeling right now. I know we have you for a limited time, so one last question. Watching as closing arguments are being made in the Hunter Biden trial right now, we also know that he will be facing what I understand to be maybe more significant charges in September in court because of the tax evasion problems. Donald Trump might be getting jail time. I don't think that we should be ruling that out at all. We've gotten this far. Why wouldn't they go one step further? What do you think is going to happen between these two? Exonerated for Hunter Biden in this trial? What kind of consequences? Let us know what you think.
Well, I think with respect to Trump, the likelihood is what you say, is that he'll get a prison sentence. Now, I want to be clear. That doesn't mean that I think he's going to end up in prison. But I do think that, I think he'll be continued on the conditions of his release through his appeal, which will take another year to process. But I also think that because Judge Merchan, who has shown himself to be quite serviceable to New York progressives, because he knows that by issuing a prison sentence, that doesn't mean that Trump will actually end up in prison, certainly not anytime soon. I think that's more incentive to Merchan to impose a prison sentence, because he knows that he's not going to be really accountable for it. It's not like, he's going to impose the sentence and somebody's going to cart Trump and the Secret Service off to Rikers Island.
So in that instance, he sentences him to prison, and then for the rest of the campaign season, Donald Trump is going to prison, and then he's appealed, and whatever happens, happens. But you get a little more politics.
But they get out of it. They get out of it what the objective here was, which is that they want Biden to be able to call him a convicted felon from now until Election Day. And that bell can't be unrung. That's going to be the case. And it might cost Trump the election. I know a lot of people who are pro-Trump people are very fired up about this, as they should be. But, there's internal polling in places that shows that, a lot of people don't tune into elections until the end. And being labeled a convicted felon again and again and again in negative messaging could cost Trump a point or two, and that could be the difference in a close election between winning and losing. I think with Hunter, my expectation is, and I think this is probably why he decided not to testify, because that would have run higher risk of a potential prison sentence. I looked at his sentencing guidelines last week. I don't think he's likely to get a prison sentence for the trial that's ongoing now. I think he'll be convicted.
Okay.
But I don't think it's a prison sentence. And that's why I don't put any stock in Joe Biden's claim last week that he's not going to pardon his son. I think that's about as enforceable as his claim that he couldn't do anything about the border because Congress hadn't given him the legislation. He won't pardon his son as long as his son doesn't have to go to prison anytime soon. And I don't think even in the tax case, I think the tax case goes in September. It's going to take several weeks to try. He wouldn't be sentenced until after the election, even if he gets convicted. So I don't think there's any prospect that he's going into prison between now and November. And I don't think any commitment by President Biden not to pardon his son is going to be enforceable after Election Day.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And if there's one thing we've heard about Joe Biden across the board, that he's a very loving father. So I don't think anybody would be shocked to find out that he would do that. Interesting insight. And Andy McCarthy, you were incredible demand, and we are grateful that you had some time for us here on our show today. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Annie.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Andy McCarthy is a contributing editor at National Review, a Fox News contributor, and one of the great legal minds, who I will add, Brad, we had several people come on the show talking about the Trump thing and lots of a broad range of legal minds. And hung jury was the most expected. Several people said, it's possible in Manhattan. I know that it's not likely, but it is possible that he's exonerated or acquitted. And Andy McCarthy was, within the 48 hours leading up to, I guess, when the jury ended up going into deliberations, and then the day while they were deliberating, he goes, they're going to get him. They're going to convict him. And I remember going, Andy, like internally going, don't say that. You're usually right. And he was the guy who was spot on with it. And he laid out kind of like he did here. Why wouldn't they find him guilty? Mm-hmm. Everything that's been contorted and bended and twisted up into this point. And why would they all of a sudden go,
yeah,
this man is innocent?
I've been following his coverage of that Trump trial. I followed his coverage real closely, and he was all over it as far as laying out, this is what the judge is doing, this is how the prosecution's going to use this is how the jury's going to see it. I mean, it's almost like he worked for the Southern District of New York, and he knew.
Mm-hmm. But we've been asking for him. But we knew he's been in high demand, and it was awesome to be able to get him onto the show today. So good job, Brad, and thank you, Andy McCarthy, for your time. Weekends America in studio here when we come back. Join us on the YouTube channel and vote in today's poll. Which will have a greater impact on voter decision in November? Is it legal challenges like the Hunter Biden ones that we're talking about and the Donald Trump ones? Those legal challenges, is that going to persuade people? The idea that if you meet somebody and the conversation comes up and politics start going, if they don't refer to Donald Trump as Donald Trump or Trump or whatever, if they only say convicted felon or felon, you know that they've got a lot of money invested in the copy paper for their talking points. And they rip and read every day, felon, 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 felon. Well, yeah, I will say this on the flip side. If you see a justice system under the advisement of the current administration trying to obstruct in an upcoming election to keep their opponent from being able to compete, that's way worse than what Donald Trump's accused of. We'll be right back.
The Annie Fry Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
Air Comfort Service online at aircomfortservice.com. Give them a ring to talk to them about a maintenance plan for your AC services. 314-513-0091. 314-513-0091. Air Comfort Service will come check out your system, let you know if there's anything you need to address, and take care of you. And you don't even have to keep the thought in your brain about what it's going to take to make sure your AC doesn't crap out and you should have done something with it 6 months ago. You didn't know because you are too busy to be thinking about your HVAC system. Let Air Comfort Service think of it for you. Right now, you can have Air Comfort Service do maintenance on your HVAC system for as little as $19 a month. You have peace of mind when extreme heat and humidity arises. In the winter, of course, when the super cold air comes in, your whole HVAC system is going to be taken care of. They're there to guide you through that whole process. 314-513-0091. 314-513-0091. Tell them Annie sent you. You can find them online at aircomfortservice.com.
You wouldn't trust a butcher to babysit your pet pig. You wouldn't trust a lumberjack to repair your antiques. Or a professional wrestler to be your massage therapist. So why would you trust anyone but AMCO to fix your car? For over 50 years, we've been the trusted experts in transmission repair.
AMCO offers easy payment plan options for most any credit situation, so you can fix it fast and pay it off slow at AMCO.
AAMCO.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-239-1749. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-239-1749. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-239-1749. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-239-1749, 800-239-1749, or biglou.com.
Hi, Chad Hansen with Hansen's Tree Service and Environmental Resources. Spring is a great time to refresh your garden and landscape. At Hansen's, we manufacture a full line of garden and landscape products that are perfect for your outdoor project. Pick up any of our products at World Outdoor Emporium, Kirkwood Materials, or a Hansen's location near you.
The YouTube live chat poll today: which will have a greater impact on voter decision in November? Is it legal challenges or is it job performance? Think about that one. Let us know what you think. Of course, leave a comment so we can know why you believe what you believe on this question. 12:49. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
The National Memorial of Military Ascent is on a mission to create a first-class Veterans Memorial Complex in Grafton, Illinois. Sue Thomas here. Conservatives Care is honoring our veterans. Learn more at 971talk.com/care.
What's wrong with me? Why do I feel like this?
This is the Annie Fry Show. Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Fry Show.
Monday roundup. Yeah, this here's the wildest ride in the wilderness.
Yes, it is, and it is Monday. Welcome to it. This will catch you up on everything you need to know if you kind of tuned out over the weekend. First,
did you tune out over the weekend, or did you stay real close to the news?
I'm glued. I'm glued. I do a weekend show. I gotta stay. I gotta stay up on everything all the time. So I know that some people are like, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna tune out over the weekend, but don't. And if you do, just tune in Monday at the Monday Roundup, and you'll be all caught up. That's
why I'm here.
Exactly. So this one hits close to home. Actually, a couple Chicago stories this week. Chicago's Democratic Mayor Brandon Johnson.
You should have to tell me a good Chicago story for every bad Chicago story.
No, that's not possible. Okay. It's beautiful this time of year up on Lake Michigan.
Isn't it sad how amazing of a city Chicago is?
When you drive Lakeshore Drive, you're like, this is awesome.
Like the whole thing. Everything about it is amazing. And the Democrats, what does Donald Trump say? Everything they touch turns... I can't remember.
Turns to something.
I can't.
Not
it's
gold.
Something. It's like reminds me of San Francisco, but I can't figure out what. Go on. Just your story.
Like, I know what you're referencing there with San Francisco. Chicago Democratic Mayor Brandon Johnson, according to election board records, spent more than $30,000 of campaign funds on hair and makeup since launching his bid for the office last year.
I was going to say he's a beautiful man, but maybe we don't really know.
I got to tell you. Yeah, maybe it's all filters. But that's a high price. I mean, I know
$30,000 on what specifically?
Just hair and makeup.
Makeup.
Yeah. Now,
what do you spend?
Zero currently, but I have done television productions, and I've been around like, oh, there's a department that does that. I get that.
Did you wear makeup as a producer?
No. I did not wear makeup as a producer.
Yeah,
I wear makeup as on-air talent. But it is annoying. I'm like, every time I sit in a chair, I'm like, this is so stupid. Why am I doing this? But $30,000.
Because if you don't, and you're next to people who do, you look human.
You have to do it. And that is a lot of money. The budget for the mayor, and again, I get that you do have to do this if you're appearing in debates, if you're appearing on TV.
You don't have to. That's not true.
But, well, you got to
have
keep
to.
up. You got to keep up a little bit.
You can choose to.
Not to the tune
invest
of
in it.
$30,000.
Taxpayer dollars?
Campaign funds.
Well.
So if you donate to him,
But
this
I mean,
might be where it's going.
Yeah, to me, if it's his own campaign money, if he's not using taxpayer-funded dollars, I'm not really mad about it. But I'm like, why do you need so much?
I know. And they make that clear because they questioned him. And Johnson's campaign advisor said in a written statement, the mayor does not spend taxpayer dollars in preparation for the many public appearances and events he attends. So good. But then they said instead he is using his own campaign funds to pay black and women-owned businesses a fair wage.
Oh, then it's okay.
Right. So
it's because of the skin color of the people who are doing the work that makes it okay.
Yeah.
This would be reprehensible if white people were doing it.
So if you feel a little pressure, just go there and people go, oh, well, he said that. All right.
That's not his whip. That's yours.
Yes, that's mine. It's because the Monday Roundup. We're moving on. Colorado's weed market is coming down hard, and it's making other states nervous.
Coming down hard?
As in, it's not going as well.
Not as high as it used to be.
Sales, very good. Sales have plunged by $700 million in the last year, and businesses are shuttering or laying off workers. Yeah,
It's
in
tragic.
Colorado.
Very sad for them. I bet they're sad too.
You'd have to think that it's probably because
Does it say
going to
why?
Colorado was kind of a novelty when it was the only state, and now so many states have legalized it.
And now everybody's high as a kite.
And now everybody's high. Nobody's cutting back on their marijuana.
Why is it down? Is there a reason?
They don't say why. They just said they speculate what I just said, that so many states have legalized it that people aren't coming to Colorado to get high anymore.
Oh.
Darn.
Can we export them back to Colorado and
We
just
can.
like make Colorado great again?
Yes, yes, we can. Well,
And in the meantime, make Missouri great again and
Depending-
Illinois great again.
Yeah,
This works out for everybody.
it all depends on what the voters say in November, Annie.
I don't think it's going to have an effect on weed.
No, I don't either.
I think we're high, other than Colorado. We're just high for good.
This story, I mentioned how beautiful that Lake Michigan is.
Mhm.
Now that's in Chicago.
Mhm.
Apparently, you don't want to go in Indiana right now
Mm.
because, and this does apply
Caitlin
to
Clark, did she screw that up too?
Yes.
Oh, God dang it.
You knew right where this was going. Oh, wait, wrong story. This has to do with biting flies. Sorry, I get confused. Biting flies
Caitlin Clark probably told him to do it.
are swarming Indiana Dunes beachgoers. So it's a little bit of a drive from here, but
are they just flies? Is there a specific kind of?
it just, I mean, I guess you could go into the type, but it's biting flies.
Have you ever heard of no-see-ums?
That's these. Yes.
Is that what it is?
That is these. Yeah, I had never heard of that until I read that.
Well, no-see-ums, it's a big Florida thing. I know that.
Okay.
And they will just eat you up.
Yeah, and this is
And I
a
didn't know if-
weird place for them to be.
I'm surprised that I thought maybe it was just like a southern thing, but apparently not.
I think it usually is, which is why this is making news that they're all
Caitlin
over
Clark.
this Indiana.
She went from Iowa to
Yeah.
Indiana, and they said, let's send the bugs up there.
So if you plan on swimming in Lake Michigan this year,
No.
I mean, just be aware. Some people going, yeah, you know what? Bring back the cicadas because the biting flies are
Do
out of
you
control.
care about? Would you swim in a lake? You got any problems with
I have
lake
before.
swimming? I know that's not the question.
Would I? Yes.
Like if people are like, hey, let's go to the lake, are you like, jump in, let's go?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Brad?
On a boat, yeah.
No, you'd be in the water.
Yeah, but I wouldn't want to go like to the shore and just swim in off the shore.
What's
I think
the
that's-
difference?
I don't know. It's kind of lame. It's better to be off a boat.
Well, I'll back him up here because
I think the water's colder.
If you're going in off of the shore, depending on what type of
Yeah.
lake it is, it can be real muddy and kind of gross. But if
Yeah.
you go to a rocky lake, especially if they're deep,
Like a Colorado lake?
not a Colorado rocky, but like a very rocky lake like Table Rock Lake.
You're in Colorado in a lake, and I know why you were so happy.
It's not so bad,
Yeah,
guys.
it's harder to breathe up here, but man, does it
You
taste
gotta
good.
see this.
Um,
No, I'm not a lake. I would love boating. I don't ever need to touch my skin to lake water again.
Really?
No. I've told my story about skiing with my husband's family, and I'm sitting in the water waiting for the boat to go so I can attempt to ski, and something the size of Godzilla slithered and slimed all the way up my leg, and it was terrible.
It was a moss man.
I think it was an eel.
No, it was a moss
It was
person.
an eel. It was Flotsam and Jetsam from The Little Mermaid. It was terrible. I'll never do it again.
I understand. I do. But the more I do it and the older I get, the more I'm like, I think I want to live on a lake. I love it that much.
Totally. Just don't need to be in it. You don't need to live in the lake. You just live by it and look at it. And it's pretty, and there are sunsets, and it's calm.
Yes, but in July,
Good and bad decisions being made
I
in
think I
front of
want
you.
to live in the lake.
Steve Moore, when we come back, don't go away.
Outdoor Living Redefined, brought to you by Lakeside Renovation and Design, your trusted partner in crafting stunning decks, inviting screened rooms, and elegant porch overhangs. Imagine enjoying a crisp morning coffee on your beautifully designed deck, or hosting gatherings in a spacious screened room. Lakeside turns your vision into reality. Our skilled craftsmen use top-notch materials to create spaces that stand up to the elements and stand out in style. Elevate your lifestyle with Lakeside's outdoor living expertise. Visit our showroom or call Lakeside Renovation and Design today.
What better way to support your nutrition than with the multivitamin that was created right here in St. Louis? Neovitin Original Multivitamin was created by St. Louis physician Dr. Ribicki to support his own nutrition when he needed it most. Now, Neovitin Original Multivitamin is formulated with sensible doses of vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, and Dr. Ribicki's proprietary blend to give you nutritional support you won't find anywhere else. Neovitin is now conveniently available through our no-obligation monthly subscription. Cancel or pause at any time, and shipping is free. Support your nutrition with a subscription to Neovitin at neovitin.com today.
KFTK FM Florissant. From the Under Law Injury Lawyers, GetJim.com studio.
That's GetJim.com.
97.1 FM Talk. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
The First Lady singled out in court. On Lisa Brady, Fox News. Prosecutors at the Hunter Biden trial pointing to family members and telling the jury they're not part of the evidence as they argue the president's son lied about drug use during a gun purchase in 2018.
Once the jury gets the case, they'll consider whether the prosecution proved beyond a reasonable doubt that Hunter was a drug user when he bought and possessed a firearm and swore on a federal form that he was not a drug user.
Fox's Rich Edson at the courthouse in Wilmington, Delaware. Defense attorney Abby Lowell arguing the prosecutors have not met the burden of proof. The jury could get the case this afternoon. Former President Trump meets with a probation officer today ahead of his scheduled sentencing next month for falsifying business records in New York. Today's meeting being held virtually.
His lawyer, Todd Blanche, will be with them down in Mar-a-Lago. His probation officer is going to be in Manhattan Criminal Court in the office there. The probation officer reviews the case, examines the defendant's personal history, and then prepares a report. Those conclusions will go into the pre-sentence report. That will go to Judge Juan Merchan and recommend a sentence for the former president.
Fox's Eric Shawn. The defense does plan to appeal what the Trump campaign calls a lawless case. 3 people recovering from shark bites after 2 incidents in the Florida Panhandle within hours of each other Friday afternoon.
Authorities say they don't know what shark it was, but say what happened was extremely rare.
Fox's Dana Marie McNichol.
During this time of year, it is common for small fish to travel in schools near the shore, which might have been a contributing factor in the attacks, according to the Bay County Sheriff's Office.
A 45-year-old woman and a teenage girl were seriously injured. A second teen had a minor injury. Beaches in the Destin area are open after these Friday incidents, but they have warning signs posted about dangerous marine life. America is listening to Fox News.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Is your timeshare suffocating you? Are you feeling powerless because you were sold a bad investment that is nothing like you were promised? I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. If you're ready to get rid of that timeshare, I'll send you our Timeshare Exit Information Kit free, exposing the timeshare industry scams with all your options for cancellation.
Call 800-653-1188. 800-653-1188. 800-653-1188.
Angie's List is now Angie, and we've heard a lot of theories about why.
I thought it was an eco move. Fewer words, less paper.
No, it was so you could say it faster.
No, it's to be more iconic.
Must be a tech thing. But those aren't quite right. It's because now you can compare upfront prices, book a service instantly, and even get your project handled from start to finish.
Sounds easy.
It is, and it makes us so much more than just a list. Get started at Angie.com. That's ANGI, or download the app today.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Near perfect weather as we go through our Monday afternoon now in the longest days of the year. Sunshine 78 for the high. Tonight, clear and cool. Fantastic this evening. 55 for the low. On Tuesday, sunshine 82. Wednesday, sunny 89. 95, though. A dry heat with sunshine Thursday, Friday, Saturday. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Owning rental properties can be stressful. Unexpected problems are basically to be expected. You just never know what they are, and it always slows you down. Everything costs more and takes longer than you're expecting. Have some friends in the industry. Rapid Rental Renovations are a great friend of mine, and they're a great friend of the show. They do everything for you. So if you get caught in that spot where you had planned on doing things yourself, but man, it's just taken forever and you're dealing with so many other things, give them a call. Their website is murphycleanoutservices.com. So they do that too. If you need a rental that is just full of junk and stuff that you need to get out of there, murphycleanoutservices.com. But see everything else that they do there while you're there. You'll see that it's everything: painting, flooring, light fixtures, bathroom updates, even little things like blinds to big things like roofs, carpet, you name it. Visit them online at murphycleanoutservices.com.
Do you have 3 ex-wives and your current trophy wife wants a life insurance policy 3 times the size of the policies you had to purchase for your previous mistakes? If so, you need to call Big Lou at Term Provider, 800-700-6898. Big Lou is intimately familiar with your problems, and if you're 50 or 60 years old and in reasonably good health, a $1 million policy should only cost about $100 to $200 per month. Big Lou may have a solution for your previous policies as well. You may even save enough money to lighten the load on your new $1 million policy. Remember, call Big Lou. He's like you, except he's only on number 2. Call Term Provider at 800-700-6898. That's 800-700-6898. For $1 million in term life insurance that you can live with. Call Big Lou at 800-700-6898. 800-700-6898.
More good news for Frederick Roofing, voted best roofing company by the St. Louis Post-Dispatch.
For a hole in your roof or a whole new roof, Frederick Roofing.
314-645-2000.
At Hampton Manor of Wentzville, they go the extra step to make sure their residents feel special. Mark Cox here for my friends at Hampton Manor. I recently stopped by there. You know, their veterans are celebrated with special recognitions, including special pastries created by their pastry chef. They have their own private chef. They'll even feed you lunch if you stop by for a visit at this great senior living community off the Lake St. Louis exit at Highway 70. Schedule your appointment today at WentzvilleAssistedLiving.com.
Start your summer road trip at Midas and get up to $30 off your next repair service. Plus, get a free closer look vehicle check to make sure your road trip ready. So if you need a brake service, an alignment check, or tune-up, hit up Midas for up to $30 off. For more details, request your appointment at Midas.com.
We're here to help you get registered to vote, whether you're in Missouri or Illinois. Democracy 2024 on 97.1 FM Talk. If you need help getting registered, go to 971talk.com/vote. The Annie Fry Show YouTube live chat poll of the day is sponsored by Ruler Foods. Low prices, no coupons. Ruler Foods.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
Case against Hunter Biden is frankly, the evidence is frankly overwhelming at this point. You know, this really boils down to when he bought the gun and possessed the gun, was he using crack cocaine or using illegal drugs? And the evidence is simply overwhelming to that. And I think that the thing that's interesting about the defense, and part of your lead-in was talking about will he testify or not, just to engender maybe some sympathy. I think it's a high-risk game he would play. And another thing that they should be careful of is under the U.S. sentencing guidelines, if a defendant testifies and a judge determines it's false, they can get additional time on their sentence.
So that's a former federal prosecutor, Jonathan Fahey, talking about evidence being overwhelming against Hunter Biden. We don't know how this is going to turn out. I have no faith or trust that justice is blind here, just like the Trump situation. He may be convicted, he may not. I'm just going to wait and see what ends up happening. But really, at the core of the question is, did he lie on this government form? And John Roberts is just asking Jonathan Turley about this, and we're going to get to Steve Moore here in a second when we connect with him. But listen to John Roberts try to pin down the drug usage, the timeline, and the gun form.
If you sign no on that federal gun purchase form to this idea of are you addicted to or using drugs, is it on that day? Is it that week? Or is it more in general?
Well, according to Abby Lowell, it appears that the question was, are you doing drugs right now? He really did this so that he'd have to be doing lines of coke on the revolver in the courtroom. Obviously, that's not the intention of the question.
So Jonathan Turley kind of saying what we're all thinking about whether or not this would be a conviction because they have him doing drugs or drinking alcohol at that time. And again, I think it's important that on the gun form, it talks about doing drugs, but it also talks about being an addict. And Brad, I don't know how familiar you are with it either, but like a 12-step program, when you enter that, you have to identify that you are an addict.
Yes.
And they call addiction a disease.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something you live with. When you stop abusing substances, be it alcohol or drugs or whatever, just because you stopped doing it doesn't mean that you no longer are an addict.
Right.
Right?
You're still very susceptible to whatever it is that you were addicted to or are addicted to. You're still super susceptible to it, even
and you
years
have to
afterwards.
respect that being the existence, because if you disrespect it and you figure, we could not talk about drugs, but you could just talk about alcohol. If you are an alcoholic and you are addicted to alcohol and you are an abuser of alcohol and you've been clean for 10 years, that doesn't mean that if you have a drink in 10 years that you're not going to quickly fall back into the things that made you a habitual user to begin with. I don't know how. Do you have a feeling about how this is? Is he going to get convicted?
I think he's going to get a hung jury. And the reason I think he's going to get a hung jury is because this is Wilmington, Delaware.
Yeah.
This is Biden town.
Yeah.
And I mean, one of the things they're saying there is there's a bunch of representatives of the Biden
Wish
family.
after you said Biden town, you would have said Jack.
Jack. This is Biden town, Jack.
Thank you. Now it feels really like Biden town. I almost feel like I'm there.
It went harder for Biden than Manhattan did. And that the odds of there not being one juror on that jury that is just going to say, nope, not going to convict him is very slim. So I think it'll be a hung jury.
Yeah, possibly. Andy McCarthy, he said when we just spoke with him at 12:25 that he thinks there'd be a conviction.
Yeah. Makes me less confident in my choice. But.
And when I am comparing notes of the setup for Hunter Biden to be tried in Delaware and the setup for Donald Trump to be tried in Manhattan, if Donald Trump is found guilty in Manhattan and Hunter Biden is found innocent in Delaware, how do you go on after that and be like, if you found yourself in court, there's no Fry town. I don't know, maybe like Highland, but I married into that family. There's a lot of Frys out there. Everyone is like, oh, are you related to such and such? And I'm like, I asked my husband, and there are a lot of them. If you're politically connected, I mean, this is really in action what we've heard for years leading into the 2016 election about the swamp. This is the swamp in action. This is the swamp doing the swampiest things that they didn't have to do before, but always could do if they had to. That's what this feels like.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if they find Hunter Biden guilty, is my confidence and faith in justice restored? It isn't. I have to believe that the intentions of these prosecutions are based in justice, not in politics. And I'm not there.
No. Like, especially considering that, the Hunter Biden thing, the sweetheart deal that the judge threw out. I mean, all of these things were kind of wrapped up in one big deal. Hunter Biden had pleaded, nothing was going to happen. No, I think it was a fine and no jail time or anything like that. And the judge is like, wait, I didn't agree to any of this. And she throws it out. And now, because the judge threw it out and that got exposed pretty publicly, they couldn't do all this hush-hush behind doors and make it go away quietly, which is how usually this stuff happens. It just goes away quietly. They're behind doors. You and I it's a big club. You and I aren't in it. We don't get to see what they're doing. I think they even wrote a whole song about it in Hamilton, in the room where it happened. But that's what they do. And because that judge blew that wide open and we got to see it, the people got to see it now to at least give the image of no one being above the law. Am I doing this right? No one's above the law. Now they've got to try Hunter. So they're going to try him in California for tax charges, and they're going to charge him in Wilmington for gun charges. And both of those areas are going to be very friendly to a Biden.
I don't feel like the pursuit of the gun charges either is justice-based. I think that there are some very, very deeply concerning issues. Go Google Tony Bobulinski and listen to what he has said. Listen to what he was willing to testify to in front of Congress. Go watch his full, nerdy, yes, but important, also yes. To watch his confidence in front of that hearing where he was answering questions and some of these leftists, like Democrats in this congressional hearing, were really trying to dunk on him, and he was having none of it. You can tell when somebody goes and testifies and they feel they have the truth on their side. Now, I've seen people, both personally and politically, I've seen people who felt that they had truth on their side, but they were wrong. But they acted with the best of intentions, knowing that what they were doing, they 100% believed to be true, and in retrospect discovered I was given wrong information. So does that matter? I think it does matter. It's always a possibility. But watching Tony Bobulinski testify to the Biden operation, the Biden brand, and knowing that the service, the brand, the commodity that was being sold was Joe Biden. The Biden name was valuable because of the office that Joe Biden held, and they were willing to trade it. That's what he testified to. That's a huge concern for me. And I want the family to be held fully accountable if that is actually the truth. Do I need Hunter Biden to be sitting in a jail cell for a 12-month sentence because he is an addict who filled out a gun form and lied about it? I don't need it. If he did and it was justice, then I'm not going to be like, oh, they should pardon Joe Biden. But the complications of what we're looking at right now, to me, it looks like they're making a lot of legal noise around Hunter Biden to cover up from the actual noise that should matter to us. I want to shift gears here real quick. Listen to, that's the YouTube poll for today. Which will have a greater impact on voter decision in November? Legal challenges or job performance? Andy McCarthy laid out to us a lot on the Trump-Hunter Biden situation and how that might be influential come November. Listen to the Vice President of the United States talking about price control.
There are certainly some other issues that we need to deal with. I mean, part of the second-term agenda starting now is again, what we've got to do in getting under control of the housing price, and both in terms of affordability to be able to buy a house and rent. We got to get more work done in terms of what we can do around dealing with access to capital. That's work we've been doing, helping people have a leg up and be able to start, a family, start thinking about buying a home and not worrying about debt.
So Vice President Harris, once again, we can identify a problem from both sides of the aisle and say that's a problem. And unfortunately, the Biden-Harris model is more government, as if that's going to result in more affordability for American citizens. There's always an opportunity for there to be a counter argument to that. And that's why we bring Steve Moore onto the show, Distinguished Fellow in Economics at the Heritage Foundation and a Trump Economic Advisor. Steve, welcome back to the show. Good to have you.
Hi, Annie. Great to be with you.
Thank you. VP Harris says housing prices are out of control. We need to be elected so that we can fix that. The government's going to fix that for us. What do you think?
Well, so that's there's a lot of irony in her statement, because the reason that housing prices are out of control, is especially to buy any kind of new home, is that the mortgage interest rate, you know what it was when Trump left office? 3%. You know what it is today? 7.5%. So a doubling of the mortgage interest rate has meant that people have to pay about twice as much a month in a monthly. You know, if you get a 30-year mortgage, instead of, it used to be like $2,000 a month, now it's $4,000. So what Biden has done with Biden and inflation and the higher interest rates is he's killing the American dream of home ownership. So what Biden wants to do, and Kamala, is just keep throwing money at it. But she doesn't understand. It's throwing out the money at the problems that created the inflation in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, there's always more the government can do for you, if only they can take more of your tax dollars if you elect a Democrat.
Right. It's like, if you've got your house on fire and the Biden administration comes over, here, we got some buckets of gasoline. Let's throw this on the house.
That's a terribly good analogy. I'm looking here on Fox Business, and they're showing, this is a very interesting article for me. It says raising a child is getting more expensive, but the problem is worse in these 5 states. Steve, I've got 4 kids, and in Massachusetts, it says the estimated cost to raise a kid is about $36,000 a year, and the top 5 states are Massachusetts, Hawaii, Connecticut, Colorado, and New York. And the least expensive states, it just popped up there, Mississippi ranked as the least expensive state, followed by Arkansas, Louisiana, Kentucky, and Alabama. I wonder what you thought about those states.
Well, the cost of living is just much lower in, some of those southern states, although they're poorer as well. But, everything's more expensive. I mean, this is the thing, it's the reason Biden's going to probably lose the election. I mean, people are pissed. They should be. I mean, the official inflation rate is up 20% since Biden came into office. But, as I've said many times on your show before, what are grocery prices up where you live in St. Louis? Probably 25 or 30%. Mm-hmm. What are, how about a Big Mac?
Yeah.
The Big Mac meal is now $12. It used to be $6.
Yeah, if I go to feed my family at a fast food restaurant and we've got, a 14-year-old boy who eats like a man, but we also have a 3-year-old girl. I mean, I'm going to a fast food restaurant and it's well over $50. It's not cheap.
You can't afford it anymore. It's not. Yeah, remember they used to have the $1 menu? Now it's like the $5 menu.
That's the value.
I mean, it's really that's why I just find it almost comical that these liberal media people and the politicians, why aren't people happier with Biden? He's done so many great things. I'm like, well, because have you been to the grocery store? Have you been to the gas pump? Have you bought an airline ticket? Have you paid a mortgage payment? I mean, people are financially stressed, and that because look at their credit card debt.
Yeah,
it's through the roof. Never before we have higher amounts of credit card debt than we do now.
Yeah, it is a great indicator of the security that Americans feel like they have economically with this administration. One more question before we let you go. We're speaking with Steve Moore right now. I'm asking in our poll to our audience today, which will have a greater impact on voter decision in November, legal challenges or job performance. And I feel like the economy is where the job performance is the most drastically different. I'm wondering how much of an effect you think that's going to have on voter decision in November.
Well, I think a huge one, obviously. I mean, I think that I've got this document that we're putting together called the Trump Boom and the Biden Bust. And what we do is just compare, every statistic on, the Trump performance versus the Biden performance on every one of these, whether it's inflation, whether it's food prices, whether it's poverty, whether it's jobs, all these things, much better performance under Trump.
Yeah, I think it's consistent that you can see the numbers, and they'll try to spin it, and it's almost like Bidenomics is good for you, and if you can't understand why it's good for you, you're just not smart enough, and they need you to trust them. But I think Americans are seeing through it.
That's right. I mean, and if it's the economy stupid, then I think clearly I'll just end with this, that last week I was at the Reagan Library in Simi Valley. Have you been out there?
No, I haven't, but it's on the list.
Come on.
Okay.
You've got to. I
making
want
the
to
plans.
tell your listeners, if you're a conservative like you and I are, Annie, and you love Reagan as you and I do, you've got to go to that library. It is so inspiring. And, you just go there and you just feel the incredible love for country that Reagan had and how he rebuilt our economy, our military, rebuilt our, place in the world as the world economic leader. And, it takes great leaders like that. And this is an important election, folks. I mean, can you imagine 4 more years of these policies?
No, I don't think we can afford it. I don't think the average American person can afford it. But we know with you at the helm, being a Trump economic advisor, that you're going to steer
him.
We're
going to win, baby.
I like
Just
to hear
win.
it. Steve, thank you for being with us today. Hope you have a good
All right,
afternoon.
see you, Annie.
Take
Take care.
Bye-bye. Distinguished fellow in economics at the Heritage Foundation, economic advisor to one Donald J. Trump, Steve Moore on the Annie Fry Show. Quick break. When we come back, let's discuss it a little bit. Which will have a greater impact on voter decision in November and what you think about it? Do you think the legal challenges are going to greatly sway people even more so than the job performance? I'd be interested in how you feel about this poll. So go to the Annie Fry YouTube channel and vote and tell us what you think. Doug said, I don't think either of the poll choices will outrank personality or character attacks on Trump. If the election is about policy, Trump wins. If it's about personality, Dems win. That's simple. But Doug, what is Joe Biden's personality? It's not even there. It's just crotchety old man. It's the second time today I've said crotchety. Why is that on my brain? Let us know what you think. Leave a comment. See if you agree with Doug or have a disagreement. You can leave a comment. We'll be right back.
You're listening to The Annie Fry Show on St. Louis's home for conservative talk. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
The Retirement Advisory Group wants to walk you into retirement where you get to exhale. You get to be worry-free. You get to look forward to things instead of kind of, biting your fingernails to make sure that you've done what you need to do to retire comfortably. You've worked really hard to save, and when you go to make that transition into retirement from working, you're in your late 50s, maybe you're in your early 60s, maybe you're in your mid to late 60s or 70s, and it's just time to consider retiring. Shifting from working to retiring, you need to do some smart things. And the good news is that Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw and Tammy Kershaw are there at the Retirement Advisory Group to sit down with you for free with zero obligation after the meeting is over to tell you about those moves that you need to make. All you got to do is give them a call at 314-993-9494, 314-993-9494, and tell them you'd like to have that conversation. Say Annie was saying something about a no-cost, no-obligation retirement review, and I'd like to schedule mine. Reach out to the Retirement Advisor Group and see why so many Annie Fry Show listeners and 97.1 FM Talk listeners have put their confidence and trust in the Retirement Advisory Group. Online at retirementkey.com.
Mark Cox here. Did you know that over half the appointments Window World will set this year are either previous customers or referrals from those customers? That tells you all you need to know about Window World. One thing that separates this company from the pack is that commitment to customer service and their excellent track record with both the Better Business Bureau and other reporting agencies. I am a satisfied customer. I love their lifetime warranty, and in just over 20 years of business, they've helped over 72,000 customers in St. Louis improve the look and the thermal efficiency of their homes. Right now, Window World is offering 18 months, same as cash financing with approved credit. That is a great deal. Call them right now. Get a free home estimate, 314-993-1800. They'll show you why they are simply the best for less. That's 314-993-1800, 993-1800, or go online to windowworld.com.
Retired or retiring soon? How much money do you need to live comfortably? Retirement Planners of America is here for you. Would you like to have financial peace of mind? Here's how. Step 1. Find out the amount of money you'll need to retire. Step 2. Have a plan to get there. Step 3. Make sure that plan can take advantage of market gains but protect you from market losses. Discover how to do all three with a free consultation at 800-508-6108. That's 800-508-6108.
All investments involve risk, including losses. Past
Past performance does not guarantee future results.
Do you have an invention idea but don't know what to do next? Call InventHelp today. We have representatives nationwide who will explain the InventHelp process step by step. Over 10,000 patents have been secured through InventHelp's patent referral services. The InventHelp data bank includes thousands of companies who have agreed to review new ideas. We've been helping inventors since 1984. Let's help you next. Get started today.
Call 1-800-217-4380. That's 1-800-217-4380. Again, 1-800-217-4380.
For the ones who know safety isn't a catchphrase, it's a culture. And the ones who help make sure everyone makes it home safe. For the safety-minded who watch everyone's backs, Grainger offers supplies and solutions for every industry, as well as safety assessments and training to keep your facilities safe and your people safer. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Pizza's here. Oh, great. I'd love some, but I'm worried about my stomach issues.
If you're worried about having diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools, it may not just be stomach issues. It could be a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
You're listening to the Annie Fry Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Air Comfort Service is hiring licensed journeymen. Don't have a journeyman license? Air Comfort Service will help you get it. Get guaranteed hours year-round and more. Apply online at aircomfortservice.com.
The Mark Reardon Show.
State Rep Steve Butts.
You know, I listened carefully to the press conference that the chief had, and I support the chief, but you shouldn't spin a really bad weekend saying, but at the end of the day, crime is down.
Nobody believes you.
It's a narrative that's just not playing.
Weekdays from 3 to 6. This is the Annie Fry Show. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
And what we know the American people want, they don't want chaos. They don't want chaos at the border, and they do not want chaos in their communities. And so we have to continue that fight. We also have to, as I remind you, remind the American people of what Donald Trump is running on. He wants to round up Latinos. He wants to round up immigrants across this country, mass detention camps. So we have to do both.
We have to. Do you hear how like passionate he's like? We have to remind people it has to happen. We have to keep saying it over and over and over again. Otherwise, they won't believe us. They might vote for Donald Trump. Donald Trump, the one who wants to deport people. What if they start believing that?
You know, we have a lot of the campaign rhetoric speaking of what people say they would do. You've seen the Trump campaign talking about mass deportations. We tested that in a general way in principle. Would you support a new government program that would deport all people living in the U.S. illegally? And that finds majority favor. That finds 6 in 10. It's
6 in 10. They said. That was CBS. They said, you know, Donald Trump, he wants to deport illegal aliens. And we thought, oh, we should poll that. That's not going to look for 6 in 10. If my math serves me correctly, that's 3 out of 5. 62% of voters support a national program to deport all illegal aliens. And I could play for you again the Biden campaign spokesperson, Kevin Munoz, being like, we have to remind people it's terrible. And we're importing these people. How could we play both ends of the spectrum here? And they go on to say that the border would be in chaos if Donald Trump became the president of the United States. What is wrong with these people? Oh, wait, there's more. Listen to this.
I think it's also important to really keep in mind, Jonathan, during these challenging times on the foreign policy front, on the global front. Can you imagine having Donald Trump back in the White House trying to manage all of this? I mean, President Biden's a seasoned foreign policy pro. He served, of course, as the chair on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee for a long time. He has these relationships with world leaders that go very, very deep. So we're going to be reinforcing the fact that that's an important attribute that the president has. going over the next 5 months. But at the same time, we're going to be working hard for every single vote.
Did you hear? They said we're going to be reinforcing that this is a special attribute that the president has. He's very good with these things. In 1872, he was on a council doing something with foreigners that is very important to the American people, like stuff like this.
I think there's a new rise and a sense of some within the country wanting to let that slip. The idea that we become semi-isolationists now, which some are talking about. I mean, the idea we had to wait all those months just to get the money for Iraq because we were waiting. I mean, it's not who we are. It's not who America is.
You are not who we are. You are not who America is. And you meant Ukraine, not Iraq, which was how long ago? When were we looking for money for Iraq? Where does Iraq come from? Am I missing a story here? Did Iraq... What? I can't even make sense of it.
Well, in his defense, Iraq
dare.
probably would take money from us.
No. It's not about countries that will and would take money from us, because most do. Like, if you want to go look at the list of countries that are taking your taxpayer dollars, Ukraine, sir, Mr. President, you meant Ukraine. I could kind of understand, that Ukraine funding bill included money for Ukraine, Israel, and like South China or something like
Taiwan.
that. But yes. And if you were going to conflate things that were in the same conversation and you said the one or the other, what? Iraq? Now, just before we let this go, I'm going to so here's where he once again mixes up the countries that he's talking about sending taxpayer dollars for. Then we hear Adrian Elrod, spokesperson.
I think it's also important to really keep in mind, Jonathan, during these challenging times on the foreign policy front, on the global front. Can you imagine having Donald Trump back in the White House trying to manage all of this?
Yes, I can.
I mean, President Biden's a seasoned foreign policy.
Old. You mean old. Seasoned is not what he is.
He served, of course, as the chair on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee for a long time. He has these relations.
The Senate Foreign Relations Committee? He became the vice president in 2008. It's been a minute. And when you're an octogenarian, those minutes, they're long minutes.
Relationships with world leaders that go very, very deep. So we're going to be reinforcing the fact that that's an important attribute that the president has.
Yeah, you're going to be reinforcing the fact. You don't need to reinforce the fact if the fact speaks for itself. And your facts that you continue to reinforce, and as the other dude said, we got to keep reminding people. The only reason you have to keep reminding people is because my lying eyes are telling me something different. Can you imagine having Donald Trump in charge of this, though? I mean, the chaos.
Well, as a typically conservative voter who does care about having a border.
We have one. It's around Hawaii.
When I hear messaging like this, it makes me think, well, maybe I'm the idiot. Maybe Joe Biden will do a great job on the border. We just haven't given him enough of a chance.
That's where you've landed?
Well, they're so good at messaging that when I watch these news programs, I think, well, doggone it, maybe I'm messed up.
Been in Colorado.
No, Missouri and Illinois.
Yeah. I just went driving down 64 and contact high galore.
Yeah.
That could be a slogan.
There are Russian ships right now arriving in Havana, Cuba, in the ports down there to do naval exercises in the Caribbean Sea.
Isn't this what happened in the Cold War?
Yes, yeah.
Do I remember this right?
Yes, there was a blockade around Cuba, and there was a missile crisis, and all sorts of things.
Hostages? Different. Maybe that's what he was thinking. The Iran hostage, Iran and Iraq. I mean, it's like
he was thinking
one
back
letter.
to 1979.
Yes.
Yeah,
he was there.
He kind of is stuck there.
He's just going back to when he was on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, and he's like, "This is what I know: Iraq."
I'm glad you
Iran.
brought that up because I don't think I would have noticed that about that clip. That she's like, "Look, he served on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. He's the president."
Yes, and he was not the president for 4 years, and then he was the vice president for 8 years, and then before that he was in the Senate.
And she was talking about the deep ties and relationships he had with all these foreign dignitaries. The ones that he's been talking about that are already dead?
Yes.
He would go out there and be like, I met with this guy, and it's like, he's been dead for 10 years?
Talked to him for 40 minutes or something like that. Can you imagine, though, if Donald Trump was in charge? Like, the chaos.
I can't. And again, as a border voter, I'm starting to think maybe Biden's the way to go in the next 4 years. Just something that I've been picking up because they've been dropping it out there.
Yeah, like turds. I'm sorry, it's just true.
Well, I
It's a
pick
very
up whatever they
poop-heavy
drop.
show.
I put it in my bag.
Scoop.
I don't want it to be out there on the sidewalk.
I can't with these people.
It's amazing.
Argue that your policy is better.
Yeah.
Don't argue that I'm too stupid to see and observe that the man doesn't even know how to get off a stage, let alone out of World War III.
These people are really, really good at messaging, too.
No, they're not.
That's what they do.
No, they're not.
That's their job. They're on the highest stage.
That's why they have to own the media. Because the message sucks so bad that if you try to surround people with your dumb buttery, that maybe they'll just be like, it seems like everybody's saying it. I just don't, maybe I'm not smart enough for these things. No, you're smart enough. You see it. It's obvious. It's right in front of your eyes. He doesn't know what's going on. And the fact that it's like, ooh, can you imagine what Donald Trump would be doing in the situation? Yes, he'd be leading. He'd be the president of the United States, actually making the decisions, whether you agree with them or not. Anybody think that Joe Biden even knows where Iraq and Ukraine are on a map right now? Because, well, he probably knows where Ukraine is. He went there. But I just feel like there are a lot of instances where we can pour out frustration and judgment on the decisions Joe Biden is making without remembering that he's not making the decisions.
Well, it's just amazing to me that these people whose job is they're very well paid. This is what they do. They've trained to be here. They cannot come up with a message to share with America that sticks. They can't find anything. They tried Bidenomics. That's backfired because inflation just keeps going up in 2024.
That didn't backfire. It's what they want. They don't want you to own things. They don't want you to have assets. They don't want you to have money because all of that equals independence. It's not backfiring. Their policies that are put in place are to make you less independent and to make them more important because the more you rely on government, the more important they are. And the more you can't vote for the other guy because they'll take all of that stuff away. In reality, when they take away the government programs because they don't need to fund them through the money they steal from you to fund programs you don't need and wars we shouldn't be in, that money's in your pocket, and then you get to choose what you want to do, maybe for a house that doesn't cost twice as much as it should. Their policies are not failing. Their policies are succeeding. They just hate this country. And they hate the idea of freedom and liberty that is supposed to be the foundational element of this country, which is why they told you up front, I'm not yelling at you, I'm yelling at them, which is why they told you up front in 2008 that they wanted to fundamentally transform the idea of the United States of America. Their policies are working. They told you what they wanted to do. We've arrived at where they've been greatly successful at it because the same people who are operating in 2008 are operating in 2024, and they just want to make you think that Donald Trump is too scary to take over. That's all that matters.
First of all, I feel personally attacked.
Well, that's okay. You're the closest one to me right now.
Second, those are all true things, but usually they do them for 3 years. And in the fourth year, they act like they care about you again. They come back and they go, oh, hey, remember me? I was here 4 years ago. I do care about you again. I do care about the border all of a sudden. But they can't even get it right in the fourth year. That's what amazes me.
I don't. Not only do I think they don't care about you, I think they hate you. I think they despise you. If you feel like there's some sort of American pride that is pumping through your veins right now, they hate you for it because the idea of American pride is the idea that you are in charge of your life and they don't get to exist. They don't get to accumulate and expand power if that red-blooded American pride is pumping through your veins. They hate you. And I don't think it's kind of, I don't think that it's strange that the connection to their hatred for you and the loudest supporters that they have an utter hatred for themselves. If you watch, I'm watching the Drew Barrymore show. I'm just going to call it out, and I see it every day in here, and I kind of can tune in through captions, but I can see what they're talking about. The way in the United States of America, the American culture right now has glorified the idea of, first and foremost, victimhood. That's how it started. But the idea that a pursuit of happiness, which is inherent to our existence in this country, that you should be able to pursue happiness, you have to define what happiness is. And the beauty of that in the United States of America is that you get to decide what happiness is for you, that nobody else gets to determine where your happiness comes from. And in the last 15 years, we've seen political parties, people who are financially invested in the praising of victimhood, in the identifying, the calling out of people who are perceived victims. They've been turned into commodities for sale. And the price is your freedom, and the product is their power. And no victim, in the midst of what they're trying to sell you, Black Lives Matter is the best example of it. There is a huge discrepancy in economic power that Black communities have in the United States of America and that white communities have in the United States of America. Those are different things, and that is something we should acknowledge. We should look at it, and we should ask ourselves, how do we empower the people who have less to be able to access more? And what the system came in to do, to commoditize, to highlight and spotlight the people who have less, is not to say, how can we get you more? How can we make it so that that we ensure that you can fully participate in this system? They did not uplift those people. They attacked the other people. And in an effort to squash down the other people, they never brought up those who had less. But at the end, if it feels like it's more equal, they get to sell you this idea that they have somehow won. And the people who had less can now rely on more being provided to them from those who are in power. That's the sell every 2 years in an election season. That's the sell every 4 years in an election season. You have to elect us or you will have nothing. That is as anti-American as it gets. The idea that you don't have access to the things you need to be an independent person in the United States of America unless the government looks a certain way is completely anti-American. And the most disgusting part about the whole thing is they took the people who had less, they put them on stage, sold people an idea, and they didn't help those people. They hate America. They hate the idea that if those people who were very useful victims for a political end figured out or were given a clear runway to pursue some sort of happiness that they themselves could define, if they could do that without the help of government, and even with government getting the hell out of the way, they would have no more need for those people to be in government. So we can't have that. That's disgusting. And that is how an entire political movement and system has been invested in to fundamentally transform what makes America great, which is why we need to make America great again. And I don't care if it's Donald Trump or anybody else who wants to decide that we want to be America first, that we want to be a we the people country, that we don't want to be a you sit there and wait for your handout country. And it doesn't have anything to do with skin color. They've taken victims, whether it's health-based, we've glorified obesity and said you're fine exactly the way you are. You aren't. That doesn't mean you have to be a size 0. Why did we go from being one end of the spectrum all the way to the other? We passed right by normal in hyperspeed. And it's a commodity. They're commoditizing these people to make them feel like victims and celebrate them because they're using them. People who have mental health concerns, people who are troubled, who do need help, they're using them. And it's really, really awful. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, I'm going to get your guys' thoughts, Brad and Ryan. Which will have a greater impact on voter decision in November? Legal challenges or job performance? This poll right now isn't shaping up quite like the which side you lean to when you hug, which really frustrates me still that it ended up 50-50 right and left.
My mom hugged me on Saturday and
What
I went left.
That's what she said?
That's all she said.
Yeah. But was she thinking about it ahead of time?
I wasn't, but she was. So as long as somebody is.
Did you go left, or did you wait for her?
I just took her lead.
I was observing people at church.
Yeah?
Mixed bag.
Mixed bag!
Yeah.
We got to get this right, folks. Everybody lean to the right. We'll be right back.
The Annie Fry Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
STS Armory, my favorite place to go shop for firearms, schedule classes, and recommend to very close people in my life when it comes to engaging in owning the first firearm, getting a conceal and carry license. STS Armory in Pontoon Beach, they're tops. And you need to make sure that you understand how they can help you, regardless if you're looking to make a purchase or if you just have questions, if you're looking to get a FOID card for the first time, if you're like, what is a FOID card? These are all reasons why you want to know Katie and Jesse at STS Armory. I said they're located in Pontoon Beach, more specifically on the corner of Highway 111 and South Drive, and online at sts-armory.com, sts-armory.com. For instance, right now I am up my conceal and carry license. I need to renew it. I have until winter to get that done, but I'm going to go to STS Armory and do my renewal class with the very best at STS Armory. They have great classes, including ladies only classes, pepper spray classes. They have advanced classes. So if you're somebody who wants to advance your skills, you've got the basics down, STS Armory can help you with that as well. You can call to schedule your appointment at 618-931-GUNS, 618-931-GUNS, or like I said, find them in Pontoon Beach, Illinois, online at sts-armory.com.
Guys, you know summer is just around the corner. Get yourself in shape now. Let my friends at Victory Men's Health help you. Mark Cox here. You know Victory is offering semaglutide, approved by the FDA for overweight adults. It's a game changer. On average, people are losing up to 15% of their body weight. Be sure and visit my friends at Victory Men's Health in Wing Haven, their newest location in Sunset Hills. They're also in Town and Country and in O'Fallon, Illinois. Go online today. Tell them you heard Mark Cox talking about it. VictoryMen'sHealth.com.
We've been here 30 years, 30 Christmases in this house, and we have the traditions that most families have.
That's Terry talking about her experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We did Rhino Shield 14 years ago, and the house still looks the same as the first day. Rhino Shield really worked with me to help me get just the right nice soft yellow, and it's 14 years later, and it's the same color.
The main reason Terry called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by its 25-year transferable warranty.
It just sounded wonderful that we could have the house coated with Rhino Shield and not have to worry about it again for 25 years.
Take it from Terry. Give Rhino Shield a call now for a free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.
There have been neighbors that have come by and said, did you just have your house painted? Because they wanted to know who the contractor was. And I said, no, it's actually Rhino Shield.
877-25rhino.com.
Mark Cox here. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call my friends Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group. They'll show you how to link to the market without the risk. They're the official financial advisors of my show. Go online to retirementkey.com.
Which will have a greater impact on voter decision in November? Two choices: legal challenges or job performance. I have a clear answer to this. We'll probably share that here shortly. But we want to know what you think. Let us know by typing in Annie Fry to YouTube and then go to the YouTube live stream today. You'll see the live chat poll there as well. Let us know. 151. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
The National Memorial of Military Ascent is on a mission to create a first-class Veterans Memorial Complex in Grafton, Illinois. Sue Thomas here. Conservatives Care is honoring our veterans. Learn more at 971talk.com/care.
This is The Annie Fry Show. Follow Annie on Instagram at The Annie Fry Show.
Dreams, that's where I have to go to see your beautiful face anymore. I stare at a picture of you and listen to the radio. Hope there's a conversation. We both admit we had it good, but until then, it's alienation. and I know that much is understood. And I realize if you ask
Welcome back to the Annie Fry Show. The YouTube poll for today, Annie Fry YouTube channel. We broadcast the show live every day there. And in the chat portion, when you pop that up, I think you have to put on the live chat sometimes in order to make it come up if you're watching on your phone. Maybe. So if it's not popping up in the chat, check the settings area and change it from top chat to live chat. But we're asking this question, which will have a greater impact on voter decision in November, legal challenges or job performance? Ryan, what do you think?
I think it is definitely going to be job performance. I don't think that legal challenges are having no effect, but I do think that job performance is what everybody's looking at right now because it affects them so personally that it's hard to forget that.
I'm going to have to agree with Ryan on this one, too. I don't think that
It sounded sad about that.
Yeah, I know.
Sorry, Brad.
Dang it, Ryan, you stole my point, and Annie, you let him go first.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's job performance because it's the one thing that you keep getting presented with on a daily basis. I mean, they can talk about Donald Trump's legal things, but eventually that's just going to be noise in the background come November.
Andy McCarthy said, keep calling him a convicted felon. It could wear at the end.
Call him a convicted felon, maybe, but I do think it's just going to burn out before it gets there. And really, whenever somebody goes to fill up their car, whenever they go to buy a house, whenever they try to get insurance, whenever they try to do any of these things, they're presented with the realities of Biden's policy. They're presented with the realities of Bidenomics. Whether you're saying they're failing or they're succeeding, the end result is the same, depending on whatever their goal is. And people see that every day. They go buy groceries. They look at their grocery bills like, man, I used to be able to buy a lot more than this. They can't take their family of 6 to McDonald's for less than $50. Things are outrageous. It's there on a daily basis, and that wound never heals. It just keeps getting picked at. So people are going to see that. They're going to recognize that, and they're going to say, maybe it's time for a change.
I struggle on this one. I'm not 100% sure because it's not about. I think you guys both make very good common sense arguments, but unfortunately, common sense isn't as common as it should be. I don't think I've successfully seen the media sell the idea of Donald Trump as a felon the way they would have been able to 4 or 8 years ago. The danger that exists surrounding Donald Trump in the minds of those who breathe to hate him. I just don't think people are buying it. And the reason why I would probably lean job performance here is not because Donald Trump did a great job as the president. As long as it is Joe Biden on the ticket, I think people are like, man, I don't know that I can vote for a convicted felon. I guess I'll vote for the senile old man who doesn't know where he's going, what he's doing, and can't speak a coherent sentence that's not written on a card. Take Joe Biden out of the picture, and I don't know. If Joe Biden is not the guy, and they put somebody else in there, then job performance doesn't matter at all because that person doesn't have to bear the weight. I mean, imagine Joe Biden stepping down. I think it's gosh, guys, that's what's going to happen. I'm calling it. Put it on the board. Like, he's going to step down. He's going to say, I've recently been given some news that makes me feel as though I will not be up to a second term, and so I humbly remove my name, blah, 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 blah. And then they're going to put somebody in there. And then the complete confusion that the mainstream media has right now over how do you polish this thing? I already used the word once. I can't use it again. How do you
use crotchety again?
How do you polish this crotchety turd? You can't do it. Add in, fill in the blank here, and they could, if timed correctly, be super hyped and excited about the name that fills in there. And if they hit that peak at the right time, it's like a playoff team that sucked. Like, I don't know, the 2011 St. Louis Cardinals, but they have 83 wins. They were a wild card team, and they won in one of the most glorious World Series ever. They peaked at the right time, and I was very happy to be a part of it. But, I mean, if you go and you look at the 2004 St. Louis Cardinals that won 101 or something like that, 104 games or something crazy like that, and they got swept by the team that, famously would never win in the postseason again. Common sense doesn't necessarily apply. I don't know. Probably job performance, but I'm not voting yet. I need you guys to vote. Let me know what you think. We'll be right back.
Say hello to Lumi, the whole-body deodorant developed with your whole body in mind. Pits, privates, and beyond. It's outrageously effective and clinically proven to block odor all day, anywhere you have body odor and wish you didn't, and keeps controlling odor up to 72 hours. Lumi is different. Developed by an OBGYN, Lumi goes beyond masking odor to control body odor in a way certain other deodorants and soap don't. Start controlling body odor everywhere, not just armpits. Experience whole-body freshness from Lumi Whole Body Deodorant today. Go to LumiDeodorant.com to be the best smelling you of all time. There's a special offer for listeners. Use code 203 and get 15% off your first purchase with code 203. Like the Lumi Starter Pack, Acidified Body Wash, or new Lumi Plus Sweat Control. That's LumeDeodorant.com, code 203 for 15% off your first purchase. Love it or return it for free. That's LumeDeodorant.com, code 203 to save 15% today. LumeDeodorant.com.
The Diamond Shop, you can find them online at thediamondshop.net, is celebrating men this June. Of course, Father's Day is right around the corner. And if you haven't gotten anything for Dad quite yet, might want to stop by the Diamond Shop in Clayton and check out their men's jewelry. Everything that's in stock right now, all men's in-stock jewelry, 40% off. And I always want to remind you, because this is so simple, it's a no-brainer if you're looking to make a purchase that you can enjoy at the Diamond Shop. If you go online before you go visit, or maybe even while you're in there, and go to thediamondshop.net, you scroll to the bottom of the webpage there, and you can fill out a very quick form that will make you a VIP. And who doesn't want to be VIP? You become a Diamond Shop VIP, and you're going to save an extra 10% on most purchases in the Diamond Shop. They have more than just all men's in-stock jewelry on sale for 40% off. They have 25% off all watches, even Movado. And if you're looking for something else, they've got other great deals going most of the time. So learn everything you need to know, plus their location at thediamondshop.net.
KFTK FM Florissant. From the Under Law Injury Lawyers, GetJim.com studio.
That's GetJim.com.
97.1 FM Talk. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
The jury could get the case soon. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. At Hunter Biden's federal trial in Delaware, closing arguments wrapping up with prosecutors set to give a rebuttal. They've been highlighting testimony about his drug use. The president's son accused of lying on federal forms when he bought a gun in 2018.
The defense is arguing that no witness has testified they saw Hunter doing drugs in October 2018. Hunter's attorneys maintain he was drinking at the time, not using illegal drugs, and stressing drug use before or after does not prove drug use the week and a half that he had that gun.
Fox's Rich Edson at the courthouse in Wilmington. First Lady Jill Biden in court again today, along with other family members. Prosecutors telling the jury people in the gallery are not evidence. The UN Security Council meets at this hour after the U.S. proposed a draft resolution in support of a three-stage deal between Israel and Hamas that would include an immediate ceasefire in Gaza. Fox's Trey Yingst in Tel Aviv.
Today, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken landed in Israel for meetings about a possible ceasefire with Hamas. Now, Blinken spoke on the tarmac in Cairo before taking off and after meeting with Egyptian negotiators. Blinken says Israel is on board with the agreement, and now it's up to Hamas to make a decision.
The only party that has not accepted, the only party that's not said yes, is Hamas. That's who everyone's waiting on. That's who the Palestinians in Gaza are waiting on.
His visit comes after a daring hostage rescue this week that brought 4 Israelis home.
Health officials in Gaza say the rescue mission left nearly 300 Palestinians dead. The National Park Service assessing damage after pro-Palestinian protests outside the White House over the weekend. Just getting word Huskies coach Dan Hurley will stay at UConn. ESPN reporting he's decided to turn down an offer from the LA Lakers and try for a third straight men's college basketball championship. America is listening to Fox News.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Is your timeshare suffocating you? Are you feeling powerless because you were sold a bad investment that is nothing like you were promised? I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. If you're ready to get rid of that timeshare, I'll send you our Timeshare Exit Information Kit free, exposing the timeshare industry scams with all your options for cancellation.
Call 800-653-1188. 800-653-1188. 800-653-1188.
The Angie's List you know and trust is now Angie, and we're so much more than just a list. We still connect you with top local pros and show you ratings and reviews, but now we also let you compare upfront prices on hundreds of projects and book a service instantly. We can even handle the rest of your project from start to finish. So remember, Angie's List is now Angie, and we're here to get your job done right. Get started at Angie.com. That's ANGI, or download the app today.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Near perfect weather as we go through our Monday afternoon now in the longest days of the year. Sunshine 78 for the high. Tonight, clear and cool. Fantastic this evening. 55 for the low. On Tuesday, sunshine 82. Wednesday, sunny 89. 95, though. A dry heat with sunshine Thursday, Friday, Saturday. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
So Stewart's American Mortgage and the Bagel Loan, just a phone call or text message away to see how the Bagel Loan can help you, both with your initial mortgage or a refinance. And you might be thinking, Annie, why would I refinance my mortgage right now? Well, there's a group of people out there that had to get their mortgage when rates were at sky-high levels, and they've come down a little bit since then. You can use the Bagel Loan to do that, and it makes 100% sense to secure a lower rate when you don't have to pay any closing costs. When you go get a mortgage, there are usually thousands of dollars in closing costs that you do not incur when you use the Bagel Loan with Stewie at Stewart's American Mortgage. You can ask him questions. You can have him explain how he can help you. He will be honest with you if he can't help you. If it's not a good financial decision for you, he will tell you the truth. And he will treat you as well as he treats all of the Annie Fry Show listeners who call. I'm a 2-time customer myself of the Bagel Loan, and I'm very grateful that I am because my rate is super low because he told me, Annie, you got to do this right now. And I'm glad I did. 314-324-4440, 314-324-4440. Google the Bagel Loan to find out more info. And MLS number 226715.
Is your old garage door a real clunker? Overhead Door Company of St. Louis is paying cash for your clunkers now. They'll haul away your old garage door and give you instant credit towards the new insulated door. $200 for the first garage door and $100 for each additional door. Cash in your old opener, too. It's cash for clunkers now at Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. Convenient, free in-home estimates. Schedule online at overheaddoorstlouis.com or call 314-781-5200.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-652-5241 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-652-5241. That's 800-652-5241. What do you have to lose? Call 800-652-5241. Again, 800-652-5241.
Don't let a cold, sinus infection, or allergies ruin your day. Breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier with Navage. Visit Navage.com, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, or a store near you.
Zero Res has the best deal of the summer for you right now. 3 rooms clean starting at $129 and take $50 off your air duct cleaning package. Call 314-474-2020 or book online at ZeroResSTL.com.
We're here to help you get registered to vote, whether you're in Missouri or Illinois. Democracy 2024 on 97.1 FM Talk. If you need help getting registered, go to 971talk.com/vote. The Annie Fry Show YouTube live chat poll of the day is sponsored by Ruler Foods. Low prices, no coupons. Ruler Foods.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
Welcome back to the Annie Fry Show. Happy to be with you this Monday afternoon. Beautiful Monday afternoon. Molly's birthday today. My 2-year-old is now a 3-year-old. And I feel like when I remember, especially my firstborn, every birthday was such a huge deal. You could clear your schedule for it. My son was the first grandchild on both sides. So there's just a lot of interest and intrigue about it. Molly had a homemade breakfast this morning with like sprinkled confetti pancakes. And, you know, I asked her last night, I said, do you want some balloons for your birthday? And she goes, yeah, those. And she pointed to our other room with, I think they're blue and yellow balloons that we had from Charlie's graduation. And I'm like, do you want new ones? She's like, no, I want those. And I was like, okay.
Sweet. It's a nice deal.
They're yours.
Yeah.
Just still hanging out in our house. But a 3-year-old birthday, these are fun birthdays. These are fun Christmases. These are fun holidays. Because it's just full of wonderment and everything. And we're going to celebrate her this weekend. But there's going to be baseball tonight. Like, it's interesting in the birth order how the world stops rotating for a minute with the older ones. But the younger ones, and they're, you know, it would be different if she were turning 8. We wouldn't just be like, we'll just come along for the day. But at 3, you're just like, you just take that balloon with you everywhere you go and tell people it's your birthday.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, we had when our twins, our first 2 children at the same time, of course, turned 1. It was like rent a pavilion. We're inviting everybody we know. And now when my 6-year-old just turned 7 on Saturday, it was like, what do you want today? A donut? Great for you. We're going to Cruda.
Good choice. I don't know. There's, first of all, as mom, you just generally, like, by default have this programmed mom guilt thing. You just always assume you're doing it wrong, I guess. Maybe other people don't feel that way, but I think most moms do. It's just you have an ask of you and you just try to do your best. I've got 4 kids, so I don't know if I remember when I was having my second child, my daughter, and I asked my dad, like, there was this point, I was about 2 weeks before Jensen was about to be born. And all of a sudden, I think I've heard other people talk about this before, but all of a sudden I got really sad for Charlie because Charlie had all of our attention and Charlie, people doted on him. And now he was not going to have that. Like, his life was going to dramatically change. And I remember asking my dad, like, and I was way more emotionally affected by this than I let on to my dad when I asked the question. But I was like, I feel bad for Charlie. And I feel like I'm not going to be able to give him what I gave him before. Like, when you have the second kid, which I was the second kid, do you, like, have, 100 credits of love to give, and then when you have a second kid, you give 50 here and you give 50 there? And he goes, no, that's not the way it is at all. It's just, it becomes bigger. And that's so true. Like, I don't feel like I love my kids any less because I have 4 of them, but I also, there's a part of me, and I think it's being 40 and not 25 when I had my son, there's a part of me that kind of appreciates that Molly doesn't understand what it's like to have the world stop revolving on its axis for her.
Yeah.
On a regular basis. Like, that's not reality. And I think we live in a time culturally where, especially like the parent-kid situation, there's so many instances where the idea that you are one of many that exist in the world is not the highlight. There's a lot of, we used to say helicopter parents, and they talked about lawnmower parents. I don't know what parents are today, but the idea that we are going to celebrate you and we love you and we loved you yesterday and we'll love you tomorrow, but today's your day and we're going to celebrate you for it. And we're going to celebrate you this weekend. That you don't have to have the most perfect manicured decorations and the most expensive, cute little themed cupcakes and the most perfect little goodie bags. Like, none of that stuff really matters. And a lot of times you see that it's done in place of the things that really do.
Yes. The fourth kid thing is, and in our case, third kid, your case too, the guilt that you feel over what you do for the fourth or the third versus the first is real, but you're very right when you start to realize that kid doesn't know any different, and they're not going to grow up. Even once they get to the point where they will realize it, they're not going to care.
Mm-mm.
They will not care at all. They'll just have good memories of, hey, when I turned 3, I got the balloon, if they remember that at all. Like, that's kind of...
Or you could throw them the whole big freaking party that weekend, and they would remember the balloon they got on their day.
That's exactly right. There's so much pressure. You said it too. It's cultural pressure to do a lot of things that I think moms do feel it more than dads. I'm not saying I never feel it, but
Dads feel it based on how much the moms are feeling it.
that's correct. And my wife does feel it. And there are things that we do at times that I have to ask. Usually I ask internally before I ask externally.
That's like something you learned.
Are we doing this? Yeah, very much. Are we doing this because we want to do it? Or are we doing it because we think we should do it?
Big difference.
And it has to be asked, and it has to be asked regularly because there's so many demands on your time as a parent, first of all, but then also culturally, you're just expected to do a lot more, I think, with celebrations. Celebrations are good. I think they're great, but we're
But what
asked...
are you celebrating? Are you celebrating the kid and the family and the people? Like, for those types of things, like, I just want my kid to look around and see people that they love and that love her. And some balloons. But I mean, gosh, all that crap that you can put around, 3-year-old don't care.
No.
If you're doing it so that you can, I'm gonna speak in first person here. If I'm doing it so that the people who come are like, gosh, Annie's really got her stuff together. I did that earlier on to an extent, and it was so much external pressure that with a fourth kid, I'm like, I can't even possibly imagine entertaining the idea of doing all of that stuff for other people because they don't care. Like, the people who come to these parties don't care. They want to eat a good meal and they want to enjoy the company of the people who are there who have something in common. And in that case, it would be Molly. I think that we see it, and you can tell me, the soccer world. Do any of your kids play baseball or softball?
Yeah.
But I know you guys are into soccer, and I know nothing about the soccer culture. But I have, in the last probably 3 years, so dramatically changed my opinion on the youth baseball system. It is such a racket and money grab that does not in any way, shape, or form prioritize the kids that participate in it. And I'm actually pretty disgusted at it. Like, it's starting to frustrate me to the point of having some sort of kind of anger towards the fact that this is the system that exists. And, okay, my son is 14. He's a baseball player. He's a good baseball player. I think he's pretty realistic about his capabilities. He's talented. I don't think that he's thinking about which pro team he wants to be drafted by. Pretty realistic about that. And if his dad and I wanted to treat him like he was on the D1 scholarship pro track, there would be people lining up to take his money.
Heck
and
yeah,
my
there
money.
are.
And willing to lie through their teeth the entire time. This is what you got to do, man. He's got the talent. He's got the capability. You just need to X, Y, Z. And, man, I see families, and I'm always questioning myself again. Mom guilt, questioning myself. Am I doing enough? Am I doing too much? How do I know? And as your kids get older, I feel what we have started to do in our family is let them lead more, which I think is the natural thing to do, and to respond to what the kids are saying they want, or maybe they're not excited about, to listen to that. And you want to push them to succeed, but not to succeed where they literally give up their childhood to work a job to be something that they're probably not ever going to be.
Yeah, the chances are super, super slim.
You want to work? I mean, this is the sadness that I have, and this is why it's gotten me to the point where it's starting to make me angry, is that the time that it takes away from children in the only time in their life where they're going to get to enjoy childhood, and the people who are willing to do it because they have an industry that they are trying to serve, it's not for the kids. And of course, the parents need to be the ones who do advocate for the kids. There's nothing wrong with providing a service that gives kids who have the talent and the desire to pursue something bigger and higher. It should exist. It does exist, but it exists in a much broader sense than actually is for the kids who can possibly achieve that. And these kids are losing their childhood to it. And then they get to their junior year of high school and they're like, if I never see a baseball again, I'd be fine with that. If I never kick a soccer ball again and I get to spend my weekends in the summer with my buddies, playing video games, fishing, maybe traveling for the purpose of traveling and not sports, I really want that. We invest so much time and so much money in this idea of something you have no idea if when they turn 17 or 18, they're going to want to do it ever again. And for what?
Yeah, we've had to ask that question too. And I like that you said you just kind of let the kid lead, because you can't completely give. I mean, at 9 years old, which is our kid, now 10, we've had to ask him, what do you want to do? Well, he doesn't really know exactly what he wants because he's 9. So but you do have to kind of like listen to see how passionate are you about this? And with the select sports in general, regardless of what sport it is, because, you know, if you have daughters, there's gymnastics, there's all these different things. You could spend a lot of money on
soccer and there's baseball. They can play baseball.
I didn't know there was
softball.
select girls baseball.
No, girls can play it. If they're good enough, they can play. Yeah.
So, but there's all these
it's not
options.
just gymnastics.
Regardless, well, I personally know some girls in our family who spend a lot of money on gymnastics.
And dance.
Yeah, and all of these things exist. You have to approach
Cooking.
them as just kitchenware, you know, conferences.
Sewing.
That you have to approach them as if they are a business, you are a client, and that is the primary objective. Everything past that is secondary. It's not important, but the first is you are a paying client. Now that we've established that, now how do we go about our business here? Because it's got to be something that the kid wants and you enjoy and you're willing to do all the driving, because it is a absolute commitment. And so we've had to make those decisions too. We've got 3 kids. Some of them are way more into this stuff than others. And some of them we just kind of let do whatever they want because they don't have that much of an interest.
And they're not quite into, you guys aren't quite at the age, I would think, where you're starting to think about, you know, you said, I know they play baseball and soccer. There are going to be people who are going to tell them that in high school they need to pick one.
Mm-hmm.
That's outrageous.
And we're so far, like we go to a little Christian school, so we're not like D1 anything. So the sports that they're going to play are not going to be at this level that you got to pick.
But it's not just school sports, because they're probably in soccer clubs. And they'll be on, you know, select elite travel baseball teams if they so choose and can make the team or whatever. And then they will be like, well, you're going to train 6 days a week. And it's like, well, I have soccer on Tuesday. I don't think you do.
Mm-hmm.
You need to pick one. Are you committed to this?
Yeah.
Do you want to go far? I'm 7.
Yeah. Right.
I want to go home.
And the pressure, like it's pretty intense. I'm okay with putting a little pressure on a kid. I get that. But not that much. Not to the point where like, hey, we need to talk about colleges. I know you're 5, but let's talk about your scholarships.
It's just frustrating that, to me, it's frustrating that there is the honesty that doesn't exist in reality. Like you were saying, very good point of, you have to remember that there is a business and that you are being served as a client. They provide a service. And if you want to show up and purchase their service, is it on them to be like, you know, you're never going to make it and you're never going to get a scholarship? Should they say that to you right away? No, maybe not. And plus, I don't think that you can know at 12 what somebody's going to, they could be, for basketball, you could be a phenom in grade school and never grow past 5'5".
Yeah, that's very real.
And you could still be able to shoot the lights out of the gym, but you're not going to be able to do it over guys that are 6'3" and 6'5". And so it doesn't mean that you're not good or worthy or valuable as a human, but you're probably not going to be getting a full ride scholarship to a D1 school. So it's like you just don't know these things. I think that you can invest in it. And again, it has to be driven by the kid. And you can't, if it comes to the point where you're just like always asking your kid to apply themselves and they never want to do it, then listen to them.
Mm-hmm.
And find something that they do want to apply themselves to. And the idea of specialization, man, the David Freese story comes to mind. David Freese quit baseball. And like, imagine, because I think he was sick of it. The travel ball was not what he wanted to do. And I think about all of these other kids right now. And I know these kids. I know kids like this personally. And I've heard plenty of other stories in addition to the people that I know personally who by the time they graduate high school are over it. They could probably play, especially at like a D2 school or maybe get a partial scholarship somewhere and maybe go try to walk on a school or something like that. It is a grind. It is such a grind. And if it's what your kid wants, if they wake up like, let's go play catch, I'm going to go hit off a tee, or I'm going to go do whatever it is you do to practice soccer. If they wake up and that's what they want to do, you got something there.
Yeah.
If they don't, in no way, shape, or form is that a failure on the parents. It's also okay if they want to play those sports not to be a pro athlete. If they love baseball, if they love soccer, if they love basketball, and they want to play for fun. Man, I could go on and on, but I won't. I'd love to know what you all think about it as well. You can join us and leave your comment on the YouTube channel or contact me on Facebook, Annie Fry Show on Facebook. Let's take a quick break. I'm going to ask you guys if you watched the premiere of the video of my Blue Angels flight, or if you got to watch it over the weekend. If you got to see it, let me know how you liked it. I've been so excited to be able to talk to people about it, and it comes up pretty much everywhere I go about the experience. So we'll recap that here, and when we come back, don't go away.
Everywhere I go, people stop and they say,
You're listening to The Annie Fry Show on St. Louis's home for conservative talk. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
put your arms around me, baby. I just wanna fly. Put your arms around me, baby. Put your arms around me, baby. Yeah.
Michael's Flooring Outlet, easy to find online, igotfloored.com. That's igotfloored.com. Michael's Flooring Outlet is very, very consistent in satisfying the customers, the people who come through their doors to fine flooring, whether it's a big job, maybe a whole house, or maybe it's a renovation. It could be commercial as well. They very much so work with commercial businesses to do flooring replacements, flooring installations. Maybe your church is looking to redo some flooring and you're looking for a great price, but without having to sacrifice quality. Michael's Flooring Outlet is happy to walk you through any of those situations so that you feel very confident in the purchase that you're going to make, that you don't feel like you're sacrificing quality for good value. And their customer service is second to none. They have 3 locations for you to check out. You can go to St. Charles County, West County, or Darien Prairie. As I said, you can go online as well. You can request an estimate there. You can look through all the different products that they have available for you, including that Techwood Select and Plus line with natural visuals, dimensional stability, and long-lasting finishes. They are there to deliver you those quality products that you are seeking out. You can find them online at igotfloored.com.
Baseball season is heating up. With the free Odyssey app, you can get the most entertaining local coverage of your team while you're at work or on the go. Stay locked in and in the know with your favorite hosts as they bring you unfiltered takes, react to the latest team news, and talk to callers. Don't miss any of the action. Stream the shows you love live or on demand with the Odyssey app. That's AUDACY. Download it today for free.
AMCO presents Bet You Didn't Know. Bet you didn't know that your car's transmission is made up of 800 pieces. Also, bet you didn't know that AMCO's fixed over 40 million transmissions, and that AMCO offers a nationwide warranty.
AMCO offers easy payment plan options for most any credit situation, so you can fix it fast and pay it off slow at AMCO.
That's AMCO, AA, MCO.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-700-6898. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-700-6898. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-700-6898. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-700-6898, 800-700-6898, or biglou.com. Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 40-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term life insurance may only cost you about $100 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-239-1749. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-239-1749. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-239-1749. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. For affordable term life insurance, call 800-239-1749, 800-239-1749, or biglou.com.
You're listening to the Annie Fry Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. If you're not sure who to call for air conditioning services, contact the team at Air Comfort Service. With 55 years of experience and thousands of 5-star reviews, you can trust them with the comfort of your home. Visit aircomfortservice.com.
St. Louis's home for conservative talk is online, and you can stream it on your phone anytime.
Oh, yeah.
Just download the Odyssey app, and 97.1 is one button away.
Oh, yeah.
97.1 FM Talk. This is the Annie Fry Show. Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Fry Show.
Keep them separated.
Welcome back to the Annie Fry Show. So Friday after the show, we premiered on the Annie Fry YouTube channel the video. It's a 42-minute video, I think, of my ride with the Blue Angels. And one of the things that the reasons why they invited me to do this was so that I could show you, so I could do this type of a thing and kind of give you the behind the scenes viewpoint of what it's like to fly with these. And so we premiered it on Friday, and it was fun to watch it with all of you guys, and because there's a live chat that went along with it. Were you guys able to watch it?
I watched it with the premiere.
You were on the live chat.
Yeah.
What'd you guys think?
I was so I knew this going into it, but the biggest surprise to me when you told me was that this was like halfway to a feature film. Like, that's impressive to turn around that fast, first of all, and then it just looked so good that it was, it was fun to watch. It was exactly what an air show movie should be. It was lots of cockpit. It was very bright. It was like very good looking and fun.
Yeah, if to kind of set that picture for you, if you've seen the Top Gun Maverick movie, it was filmed in an FA-18 Hornet. Annie was in an FA-18 Hornet. The picture looks very similar to the Top Gun movies. They had a 4K camera in there for you, Annie, and I think it just the visuals, everything just pops. And I thought it was really cool, too, that they have the audio of the pilot piped in to the video. So it wasn't like it was just picking it up out there. They were actually running that audio feed into the camera. So they were getting that as well as the visuals. And the really cool thing that I liked was as you guys are taxiing down the runway and stuff like that, Annie's doing an interview of the pilot.
Well, it's probably distracting.
I mean, I saw a couple of these videos other places, and most people don't do that. And so it was really neat for you to talk to him about, like, okay, did you always want to be a Navy aviator? Was all this stuff? And he's like, it took me a while to find it. And so there was some good, like, cool information about your pilot in there. And then the way he walked you through, I mean, he was just so calm.
Yeah.
So calm. He's
just like me.
So we're going to do this. We're going to pull about 7.5 Gs for 20 seconds. Make sure you hit that. And then whenever you would do something well, he was also very, very, like, he would praise you for doing that. And he's like, I really liked your breathing rhythms on that one. Stuff like that. So it's really interesting. And then all the while you're watching the world spin outside the cockpit.
Yeah, it's wild. I enjoyed that too. I liked hearing you guys talking while you're going about these maneuvers, because then you get in the moment. You get to hear, okay, at this moment, what are you thinking? What's he thinking? And what's his reaction to what you're thinking?
Yeah.
Because he's done this and you haven't.
Did you like the part where he's like, oh, we're going to do this, 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 and then when you get sick, we'll just take if you get sick. I'm like, I'm on to you people.
Mm-hmm.
The number one question people ask me, it's not like, people would be like, did you fly yet? But most people, even before that, were like, did you puke?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. In fact, I did. And it was after the very last maneuver. I mean, the video of the flight, I think that once we go up, I don't think there are any edits. There's one part where the video that I got came in 2 pieces. So I got one big file and then the rest of it before I think the battery died on the GoPro. Just right after I vomited. Could it have gone away 2 minutes earlier? I would have think it could have. But there's no, I didn't like edit the flight. There's some music that's behind it in a couple different places. But I managed to get through all of the maneuvers that we did inside or up above the clouds. I wish the sky would have been as clear as it was at the air show yesterday.
Oh, man.
Because yesterday's air show, I've never been to one. I said I was in an air show before I went to an air show. But I made it through everything. And then after we completed the last one before we were coming into land is when I threw up and people were like, were you nauseous? I was never really nauseous. I was actually so in tune with my stomach. I was like, oh, it's moving. Like it's gonna happen here. So I threw up a little bit. It was not a lot. It was not like an event really, so to speak. And then we flew around waiting for the runway, I think, to get cleared. And that part is where the video didn't capture any of that. And I was kind of interviewing them too. I was like, what's your favorite pilot movie? He's like, I'm partial to the documentary that's just out. And I'm like, oh, you were good at this. And we did watch that Blue Angels documentary last night. It was really awesome. And then when we were coming in to land, and you can see the video goes to one of them that was you guys were taking on the tarmac. And he was asking me, he's like, so when we come into land, we can set this down just like it's kind of like an airliner. If your stomach's upset, we can set it down easy. He goes, or we can do, and I don't, at that point, I was just like, I'm still alive. That's good. And he was saying things, and I didn't know what that meant. But he's like, we can come in basically like a fighter pilot, or we can land it like an airliner. He goes, but I need about 5 minutes before the runway is cleared for landing. So I'm just going to let you take it easy. He told me, he goes, you could take your phone out and take some pictures up here if you want. But I was too worried about even bending over because my phone was in the pocket that was on my left ankle. And I was like, if I bend over, I might get sick again. So I was just like sitting there, like, just be super still. So about 5 minutes passes, and he's like, all right, Annie, you know what you want to do? And I was like, let's do the cool one. And so you can see in the video where we come in and we're flying in pretty fast.
Mm-hmm.
And then he just banks hard to the left. It's like a 90-degree turn. And then he does a loop, and then we came back and landed. I wish I would have had the video of that part, but the 4K GoPro video that they provided me, you can watch a lot of YouTube videos. A lot of people say keep them under 10 minutes or whatever. It's not, I'm not doing this for YouTube. I'm doing this for the people who want to see what the experience was like and to take you with me as much as I possibly could. So
I'll tell you what's interesting after having kind of been a part of the whole experience and the video and everything is before this, walking through this kind of with you, I wasn't out there, but just kind of the whole experience. I had the same interest in air shows as I would when my friend says, hey, I'm going to Comic-Con in Las Vegas. I'm like, well, that sounds cool, but I have no reference for what that's like. I bet if I went, I'd like it. Having gone and watched you do this and just talk to you, now I'm like, oh, I really would like to see more of that because it's a neat experience.
Being at the air show yesterday, first of all, I am head over heels romantically in love with our military. Just as a basis entry level passion that I have that is I have such deep, humbling gratitude that we have men and women who are willing to sign up to do these things. And I mean, these are like big things that you're seeing in an air show. But you're seeing a plane and a pilot doing wild things that took so many other people, their knowledge, their skill, their attention to detail, working with the crew chiefs for my flight and just knowing all of the people. Brad talked about this, about like how much goes into, okay, yeah, here's a Blue Angels pilot and an F-18 Super Hornet just looking completely BA. But that doesn't just happen. In fact, it's like the very, very, very final chapter of a lot of time and a lot of money that has been invested to make sure that we get to protect this thing that is so important to us. It's so important that people are willing to die doing it. And when I'm in the presence of that, I just become kind of an emotional, blubbering mess of, I just feel humbled in the presence of it because I just am not that good of a person. And I'm just so grateful that there are so many that are and have been. And, I think to my grandpa who was in the Army during World War II, like that's very personal to me. And so red, white, and blue, I see it flapping in the wind and that emotionally touches me in a very impactful way. And I just want to celebrate it. And I think that like being at the air show yesterday, I think it was the F-22 was the last one that they did. I don't know what the show, because you went Saturday, I went Sunday. These airplanes, I think I'll acknowledge this too. I don't know the specific details, but they were talking about like the F-22 in conjunction with the Qatari Emirates and stuff like that. Like there are multiple people who are invested in these machines that can do these things, but they're flying so fast and they go straight up in the air. And then it stopped in the air.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't even stay on the air. What the heck was that? Like, you're looking at it and you're like squinting. Like, oh, that's strange. It looked like it stopped. Holy crap. It stopped or something.
Like for a second, I would picture that for a second you'd think, is that actually a plane or is that like a toy plane? Because it's so unorthodox to see it.
It vertical. Was seconds that it was just there. And you're going, what? And then, as we stated several times yesterday when we were watching this, like, this is just the stuff that we know about, which is just wild. Built so much to this stuff built here in St. Louis by St. Louisans, yes, Boeing. But I mean, there are people listening right now that know things about these planes that I don't know about these planes and never will know about these planes or whatever else goes along with it. And I'm just in awe. We got to see the B-2 bombers, which is the Minecraft of air flight.
What does that mean?
Have you seen a B-2 bomber?
Yeah.
It looks like it's out of Minecraft.
Yeah,
okay.
It looks like it has no business being in the air.
Yeah, well, I get that.
It looks like a Minecraft Stingray.
Okay.
That can do work. And they're quiet, which is why they're stealth. But I mean, it's just so emphatically cool that you can't. I mean, that was kind of the goal with the video, is to give you as much of my experience as I possibly could give you, but you could watch it And a lot of people were like, Annie, I was holding my breath with you. Annie, I was flexing my body with you. I was pushing my feet into the floor with you as the pilot would walk me through each maneuver and say, this is what you need to do. And Brad was joking. Ryan was going to do one of his endorsements for Andrea's or something before. And Brad was going to go, ready, hit it. And I mean, like, I hear that phrase and I'm like, when can I stop flexing? Breathing, like all of this stuff that I was just thrown into this thing to do. And these guys, they just do it. And woman, Amanda is, I think, in the 4 plane, the first female to do it. It's just so cool. It's so cool. But then when you go up front and you see it in an air show, you're like, this is so cool. It's just amazing to take it in yourself and to know that this is what we are defending our country with. I don't think we're the only ones who have, these types of jets and everything, but it's just makes you feel really good to be an American. I kind of asked myself, I don't want to taint this point that I'm making right now. Like, what percentage of people out at that air show yesterday are center to right? And if you go out there and you're thinking, like, God bless America the whole time, I know that there are people, I have those people in my life, the real people who exist in your life that vote center or left. They still can go out there and have that red-blooded American pride. But what is put out there, like the industry that is politics, do the people who are out protesting against Israel on behalf of Palestine, would they love that flex that is the American military strength and power on display at something like that? I don't know. I have suspicions. But the people who traditionally push back against the things that are foundational to what it means to be an American, like, do you get that same feeling when you see, I don't even want to say overly testosterone things, because I don't know that it's a testosterone element. It's just kind of a facetious way, I suppose, of describing it. But like these major American flexes. If you hate this country, would you love to see that? I don't know that you would. It's sad.
I think you're asking a question that a lot of people probably do ask about these events. So you go, if somebody could experience this, would it change their mind? Because what you're talking about is a very emotional experience. And are people who hate the country capable of having that experience?
I think it would make them angry.
Yeah. I'm 100% on board with that. I think that if you saw, like, think about somebody or something that you really, really dislike, and then you watch them go out there and showboat, that pit in your stomach that you get, like, what are they doing? Who do they think that they are?
What are they protecting?
Yeah.
What are they fighting for? What are they willing to die for?
And I think that's the same attitude that somebody that hates this country would have whenever they would see the United States flexing. That, and probably a little bit of fear. I mean, especially if they're a foreign adversary. I think they would look at this and go, oh.
There's just something very good about it, though, that I would hope that could break through.
It's interesting to find yourself in a position to collectively, with those people around you, share an immense pride in something.
Yeah.
And it's very palpable, especially when the engines are roaring past your eardrums. Awesome. All awesome. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, the results of today's YouTube live chat poll, which, have you voted in it yet? Go to the Annie Fry YouTube channel in today's live broadcast in the live chat. Let us know which will have a greater impact on voter decision in November, legal challenges or job performance. We'll be right back.
You're listening to The Annie Fry Show on St. Louis's home for conservative talk. Follow Annie on Twitter @Annie Fry Show.
I want to encourage you, if you were looking to replace Windows, to consider Window World for the job. There are lots of reasons to do that, and I'm going to give you a few of them here. Call them at 314-993-1800, 314-993-1800, and you can request a free in-home estimate. I think that sometimes those in-home estimates can feel a little intimidating. They're not going to be like that with Window World. You're not going to have a high-pressure situation. They're going to explain to you the efficiency of their windows, the durability of the windows, and also the beauty of their replacement windows. But they're also going to tell you that for the first time, they are offering 36 months same as cash financing with approved credit. Everybody knows and understands that times are more difficult, but if you need to replace your windows and you're overpaying to heat and cool the air in your home because your windows are leaking the energy that you have paid to temperature control, you need to make this investment, but you need to do it in a way that's financially responsible. And Window World understands that, and they care about that. And they care about you. That's why they deliver you the windows that are simply the best for less and can offer you that 36 months same as cash financing with approved credit. To set up an appointment, to get an estimate, or just to ask questions, let them know that Annie sent you at 314-993-1800. 314-993-1800. Simply the best for less, windowworld.com.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-652-5241 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-652-5241. That's 800-652-5241. What do you have to lose? Call 800-652-5241. Again, 800-652-5241.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon for the Doctors of Ophthalmology Associates. I depend on them for eye care, and they have an announcement. They're pleased to welcome Dr. Samuel Berry to their practice. Dr. Berry is a cornea surgeon, and he has the latest knowledge and techniques for advanced eye care and treatment in the field. So what do we call them now? The doctors? No, just the best doctors to see for your best vision. In St. Louis, you can reach them at 314-966-5000. They've treated more than 250 doctors, more than any others in the practice. Now, if you need help with dry eye, LASIK surgery, maybe you have glaucoma, macular degeneration. I had an eye disease when I was just 25 years old, so my eyes are very important to me. You get the absolute best care with the Doctors of Ophthalmology Associates. Doctors Greg Birdie, Ranjan Malhotra, Robert Bersati, Andy Royer, and now Dr. Samuel Berry. 314-966-5000 or visit youridoc.com. They have a great location just off Manchester Road, a half-mile west of 270. Ophthalmology Associates.
More good news for Frederick Roofing, voted best roofing company by the St. Louis Post-Dispatch.
For a hole in your roof or a whole new roof, Frederick Roofing.
314-645-2000.
Mark Cox here. My friends at Whiskey Dickerson are hard at work cranking out a brand new line of t-shirts, hoodies, and hats with hard-working, self-reliant patriots like you and mine. Whether you're the subtle and tasteful type or you'd rather push the First Amendment to the limits, Whiskey Dickerson has just the shirt for you. Right now, get 20% off by entering promo code 971 at checkout. Whiskey Dickerson is giving a voice to the silent majority. So if you like your coffee strong and your tea in the harbor, go to whiskeydickerson.com.
Anxious to see the results of this poll. You can still vote. You got about 10 minutes before we close it, maybe a little bit less than that, actually. Which will have a greater impact on voter decision in November? Legal challenges or job performance? Let us know what you think. It's the Annie Fry YouTube live chat poll. It is $2.50. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
97.1 FM Talk. You're here because you clearly have a refined palate. St. Louis is home for conservative talk. This is 97.1 FM Talk.
Don't be afraid of your freedom.
This is the Annie Fry Show. Follow Annie on Twitter @AnnieFryShow.
I said I'm free to do what I want any old time. I say love me, hold me, love me, hold me, 'cause I'm free to do what I want any old time.
Welcome back to the Annie Fry Show. Today is the 3-year anniversary of Molly's birth.
Yeah, okay.
But also, did you know that on this day in history, in 1752, Benjamin Franklin famously flies a kite during a thunderstorm?
Of course I knew that. Everybody knows that.
You didn't know that?
Yeah, I did.
No, you didn't?
I knew. Yeah, I said June 10th is the day that Benjamin Franklin
what was the year?
famously
What was the year?
flew
What was the year?
I don't know the year.
I just
I know the
told
date.
you.
I always knew that was June 10th.
You're full of...
Full of what? Fun? Confetti?
Yes, you're a confetti pancake.
Funfetti.
Cold turkey. It is one of my
That's
favorite.
on the weekends.
It's one of my favorite things about this show. Like, there are things that if you are a longtime listener of the show, you know that we have some inside jokes that aren't really inside. It's just if you've been here long enough, you were here when they happened. But Ryan Wiggins' drag name is Cold Turkey.
Yeah.
And the visual, like, it's so weird how quickly I can morph you into that person.
Yeah. And I only perform at bars, but I do read children's books at bars.
Oh.
So it's kind of like a niche thing that I've done. And they're like, here comes Cold Turkey.
Okay. I don't need any more specificity. Benjamin Franklin reportedly flew a kite during a thunderstorm with the goal of collecting ambient electrical charge in a Leyden jar. Tell us more about the Leyden jar.
It's a little bit bigger than a usual jar. It's one that
You don't know what you're
it
talking
has sort of a...
What makes it special? Size?
No, not just the size.
Good for you.
It's the material. It's made of it's a different composition.
And the purpose being, obviously,
To catch electricity.
a container that could store an electrical charge for later use.
Yes! Darn right it is.
You big Balderdash fan?
Yes, I am. I'm usually a winner.
That's actually pretty impressive. I'm disappointed.
That was great.
This potentially would enable him to demonstrate the connection between lightning and electricity. Franklin showed an interest in the subject of electricity in the mid-1740s when much was still unknown on the topic. So, 1752. Can you imagine being in a thunderstorm and being like, anybody got a kite?
Can you imagine a thunderstorm's rolling into New England and you're like, is that Ben Franklin? What's he doing out there?
Electrical things.
He's just like, you think, man, that guy might be drunk.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run this kite up here. No idea how many volts or power a bolt of lightning has.
When that raptor
man.
was up in the sky yesterday, I said to my husband, I'm like, this reminds me of flying a kite. Because you're just standing there and you're looking up, it's just like floating.
Mm-hmm. It would remind you of it other than the fact that you didn't have a Leyden jar.
I didn't. I left mine at home.
Yeah.
In Illinois.
Yeah. To do the proper experiment, you got to have a
I
Leyden
don't know
jar.
if you can have Leyden jars in Missouri.
You can have fireworks.
Yeah, in Illinois, they make you keep it in a jar.
Uh-huh. Snakes only.
A regulated jar.
Mm-hmm.
What?
The little smoke bombs. Snakes.
Oh,
Snakes, yeah.
Hey.
You can get those at the little booths, but...
YouTube live chat poll for today. Which will have greater impact on voter decision in November? Legal challenges or job performance? Ryan, you say?
Job performance. And I do believe that is not because people care that much, but because they have to care. They're forced to care about the results of his job performance.
Brad?
I'm saying job performance as well because it's just in your face every day.
Ender said, I have to go with job performance, and I believe that more regarding how poor of a job Biden is doing versus how good of a job Trump will or did do. I am on with that, Ender. I completely agree. Russell said, I voted job performance. So far, the legal challenges have not panned out to the Democrats' playbook, and the current president's job performance should have a grade of a D-. It's pretty generous, Russell. Scoot says, job performance, our economy is outperforming the rest of the world. More jobs created during the Biden term than Trump's. Libby said, both A and B, since not all voters do their research. Those that only pay attention to media sound clips will buy into Trump's BS legal drama. You all voted, and 84% of you said job performance. So I agree with that, and I really do believe it's because Joe Biden is so incapable. They changed the guy on the ticket. I might have to rephrase my answer. Mark Reardon, up next.
Rhino Shield is far superior to even the best traditional exterior house paint. Rhino Shield is 8 to 10 times thicker than paint and comes with a 25-year transferable warranty. Rhino Shield is the only ceramic coating company that has been chosen by Disney, This Old House, and 3 times on HGTV's Curb Appeal, where every episode is concentrated on unpainted brick, bonds and seals to stucco, wood, hardy, block, color lock, masonite, and more. No better product for those steel aluminum-sided homes that have become, chalky and tired looking. We coat sloped and flat roofs to extend their lives too. After 15 years, we've got a great reputation and a superior product. As long as it's affordable, why wouldn't you do it? Before you make the costly mistake of painting with traditional paint, you'd be best served to call Rhino Shield today. We are the experts and our evaluations are free. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com. Tell them, ladies.
Don't paint, don't Rhino. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
If you have an IRS problem, getting accurate legal advice could help get this all behind you right now. Hi, I'm local attorney Lance Drury with the Drury Law Firm. The IRS made new changes that make it easier to settle your IRS debt for a reduced amount. Not all our clients qualify, but under the IRS's new Fresh Start program, you may be able to resolve your IRS problems quickly and for less money. But don't wait. An IRS problem is a legal problem. You need someone who understands both the IRS and the law. Don't trust your tax problems to some TV personality. The Drury Law Firm has handled thousands of IRS cases over the last 15 years.